robust whatever that was presented by Shola earlier. They were just efforts to be able to do these three things, knowing the trade and mastering it. So sitting on the board of the Children and Youth Board for the Department of Education in the UK was an attempt to understand education. Doing a master's in development was an attempt to understand development. How did China do it? How did Singapore do it? How did Dubai do it? How did South Korea do it? How is India doing it now? You know, and how can we learn from that? You look at successful countries in Africa, Rwanda, Botswana, there are a number of ones. How are they doing what they're doing? Are they perfect? No, but they've come up with a model that works. And there's working and that has its own positives. How do we learn from those efforts of what they're doing and replicate it where we are, understanding that the context is different, of course, but the problems we share are very similar, you know, all across the world. So knowing that trade, honing it becomes very important. Why do I work in a development finance institution now, which is called the Africa Finance Corporation? Because I am sitting across governments, ministers, public sector officials, financiers. I'm understanding their challenges. What do you want? How do you want your country to be better? What can we do to help you achieve the policies that you seek? You want to build roads? You want to build rail? You want to build power plants to provide energy? How can we help you realize those developmental objectives? This is what I do every day. But that helps me in what I do at Skills Outside School Foundation, which is why I still continue to exist in the organization I exist in, you know, because there are synergies. There's a lot of learning I get from the work I do at the Africa Finance Corporation that I bring to SOS. And the same way, there are many things I learned from SOS that I take to AFC. So it's a very symbiotic thing. And I think you have to be true to yourself, you know, to really spend the time to hone the trade, to know it, to master it, and to continuously refresh and upgrade. Because what you know yesterday may not be relevant today. And it's a journey of continuous you know, growth and development. And it's very much going to be linked to the problem and the solution you're trying to solve. Because if you care about it, as you learned in the first session you had with Fatima, then you will keep going. And it will be natural for you to continuously be on this path of knowledge, mastery, and refresh. How can you also get some of these skills? I mean, I've just put some examples there, but I think we can all share with one another. Everything is digital these days. And so learning can be structured. It can be through, you know, these online platforms that you can learn things on. Most of them are free. They could be through fellowships. They could be through internships. They could be through volunteering. I volunteer a lot, which is why you see me, I mentor here, mentor there, mentor, you know, because these are ways for me to learn. Every conversation I have as, you know, in mentoring, or every board I sit on, or every company that I consult for, every day enriches me. And it helps me bring some of those ideas to continue to run SOS, to continue to take it to the next level. I was having a conversation on sustainable development goals at my organization, in Africa Finance Corporation, a few days ago. And it hit a light bulb for me. And I was like, we should think about this also in SOSF. And so I suddenly write to the data and research team about it. So it's those kind of spouts of genius you get from just interacting, from just talking, from just sharing, from just learning, from taking the time to do things. Now, you wonder how I find time to do it. You only have 4 hours in a day. But it means you may lose sleep. That's fine. I love what I do. So I never see it as stress. I never see it as losing sleep. I just see it as improving myself for the betterment of something else. And my story is very simple. I lived a very, very, I'm very grateful. I lived a very good life. And my parents were the most amazing people. I came from a family of 7 girls in Boko Haram poor state, but fantastic education. Then I asked myself, what is the legacy Sorry, somebody's okay. Other people can't see.
Please, let's know if our mics if we're not speaking. Let's be conscious of that. Thank you. You can go on, Ma.
Yeah, thank you. None of us chose the kind of families we live in, right? We just found ourselves where we are. And so for me, it is that you have to give everybody the opportunity to be the best versions of themselves. And if we allow people, we give people the platform, the opportunities, the skills, we create the different streams for them to actualize their potential, then this is how, as a country, as a community, as a continent, as a world, we can be better. And so it's very important that you think about the time you spend, in your day. What portion of your day do you dedicate to your own development for you to be able to further the solutions that you set out for yourself? So of course, I mentioned a few more: sports, work-based initiatives, as I said, societal leadership roles. So whether it's in your church, your mosque, a political association, a business that you're running, clubs that you're part of, associations, societies, volunteering, all of these things are avenues for you to build those skills, and they're very important to look at. Now, we're soon going to do a quick activity now, but it's then speaking about all this, very important for you to start to think about, when you're dimensioning your solution, who is your demographic? Who are your beneficiaries? Who's going to buy this product or engage with you to be able to benefit from this solution that you're creating? But then also thinking about the context in which they exist in. What is their reality? What kind of society do they live in? Because all of that helps you know how you intervene. You can't go to a community, for instance, where it's very patriarchal, women have no rights, they don't make decisions, and then you come and you're trying to implement a solution that is immediately trying to give power to the women. Because what will happen is an unintended consequence of things like violence and other issues. So you would have to then look at, why is the society like that? Why is it like that? Is it because for years and years, this is how it has been, and the men feel some kind of concern around power dynamics? Is that what it is? If yes, then you have to go and address that issue. You have to engage the men and ask them why they feel that way. So the first step of the solution would not just be to directly go and reach your beneficiaries, which is the women. You have to engage the stakeholders that may potentially be the reason why the that way. So all of those things you will have to understand only through getting to understand the context. And you have to collect data. You have to collect data. And data is not, you go on a World Bank website, African Development Bank, you get the data. No, you have to go in and interact, observe, gather, assess yourself or through a partner. But you must do the work. Because if you don't, you're going to implement a solution that will either cause unintended further problems, or is not going to be received well, or it's just going to die a painful death even before it goes very far. And as I said, you have to map your stakeholders. Who are they? How do you engage them? Because the stakeholders aren't just the beneficiaries. It's also the people who may be the stumbling block to you getting to the beneficiaries. They may be the reasons why the problem has been perpetuated as it has. So this is very important to do. And so I think I would pause here because I want to hear what people think. So let's take 5 minutes to do a quick exercise. For each of the problems that you have identified and each of the solutions, please think about who are your beneficiaries, okay? What's their context, and who are the stakeholders that you need to be mindful or aware of. So I will pause there. Let's give it 5 minutes for everybody to think about that. And let's get a few people who are brave enough to give us share their thoughts and ideas. So I'll pause here for a bit so that we can just give ourselves some time to do this quick exercise. Shola, at this point, do we move to the groups or?
Okay, so I think we need to be so I think it's an individual task.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, so please everyone, I think the problems and solutions you have provided, please individually, let's just do the task on that. I'm guessing that's the task. Yeah, okay. So we'll be giving some time for that, and I think anyone can be called up to to just talk about what they've done. I don't know, are they presenting?
Yes, I will pick a few people to present.
Okay, so a few people will be called on to, present what they've done. So please, let's get to the task. It's an individual. Let me emphasize, it's an individual task. So please, let's get to it. Thank you.
For your, I'm just putting up the various problems and solutions, just to give people context as people respond. So this is the first version you submitted, so things may have changed a bit, but at least we can work off this. Yeah. Okay, so 5 minutes.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes. Please okay, so someone is asking for the task. Okay, so I think it's even displayed on the screen. So okay, the problem and solutions you submitted, maybe you refined it or is the same one. So I think you should pick who to get your target demographic. I think where you are implementing such projects, get the stakeholders relevant to the project, and I think the last one is on data. Okay, so it's being typed on the chat box. So who are your beneficiaries? Who are your stakeholders? What's the context of the project? So that's what the task is about. I hope we've been able to answer you, Innocent.
And just to give more like context, as I said, is what's the environment like? What's the culture there? How do people perceive things? And how may that impact the solution that you're intending to implement? So that's context. And then stakeholders, as she said, is who are the different parties that you need to think about in the grand scheme of things. And then, of course, target demography is the beneficiaries. And please be as specific as you can. So I'm thank you. Silly, if I hope I'm saying you correctly now, has said unemployed youth in our country up to 35. Is there a lower end estimate of the age? So is it 0 to 35? Is it 15 to 35, 21 to 35? Is there a lower bound? I think that would also be useful. And then is there a specific community that you're targeting in? I think you're from South Africa, I believe. So is there a specific community that you're targeting? That level of specificity would also be helpful. So okay, yes, excellent. Thank you. So Frederick, what I mean by context is tell us something about the environment in which your beneficiaries exist. What's the culture like there? So for instance, if you say you want to implement a solution in a certain community, is it that there's high illiteracy rates, high poverty rates, high unemployment rates? Is it a very patriarchal society? Are there certain nuances about that society that we need to know of? So that's what I mean by context. I don't know if that explains further, Frederick. Okay, Eastern Cape. It's very good. And if you even want to be more specific, you can. It depends. So for instance, when Sandra says young girls from age 13 to 25, do they necessarily have to be in school, in a formal sort of school setting, or just young girls in the community of Just North? Or do they have to be from a specific school or something? If it's not that specific, that's okay. But I'm just asking also. Just be as specific as possible to the extent that you can. Okay, dropouts, very good. This is very important context. Thank you. So let me, as people are submitting, I'll just create a column here. Okay, so Sandra. Okay. And then Silly says unemployed youth in Eastern Cape. Beautiful country, by the way, South Africa. Oh, it'd be so nice to go back there soon. though I haven't been to Eastern Cape, so maybe Silly, one day you will invite me. Okay, let's see. Okay, water supply. Frederick. So the beneficiaries are households and
Manufacturers.
okay, manufacturers. That's very broad, Michael. Manufacturers that manufacture what exactly? What industries? Which regions? Nigeria is a big country. For those of you who may not know, huge country. Okay, commercial farmers. Okay. And marginal children on the streets between the age of in northern Nigeria. William. Okay, found her. Okay, useful. Okay, it's very interesting.
Very.
Very deep, I have to say. Okay, let me wrap this. And Sindo community is where? Sounds Kenyan. Okay, yeah, it's in Kenya. Okay. Okay. So Friday, it would be good to hear more about the context also. Okay, that's really very detailed. Thank you. Love this. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Right. Any more submissions? Okay, Michael, commercial farmers who trade in bulk. Okay. Are those the specific? Okay, but what are they manufacturing? Is it? Do you mean processing? Or do you mean manufacturing maybe parts of things that they would use like tractors and, equipment? And then Sandra, any more you want to say about the context of these young girls? Why are they out of school? Who do you think the stakeholders are? Required to enter university. Actually, this was really nice context. Thank you. It almost feels like I'm in Eastern Cape right now. This is a very good submission. If you have any further questions on context, you should refer to Esili's answer. Very good. Okay. Right. Just a few more minutes on this, but I think this is very important because it will make a lot of the conversation that will have much easier. Okay, manufacturers. Yeah, so Michael, I'm looking for a bit more specificity from you. Let's see. Okay, Sandra, thank you. Very good. Okay, Cecilia. Okay, very good. Wild animals. Interesting. Thank you, Frederick. This is very good context. Very, very interesting. Okay. Let me find.
So I think there were some also posted on the group chats. I'm just saying that.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Makes it harder to track. Okay.
Maybe
So,
I'll just post it on here and we'll set what so that it's easier.
okay, thank you. This would be very helpful. Poverty eradication among young people. Okay. Cecilia, thank you. Cecilia, okay. Okay, innocent. Some context would be very useful. FCT is also a very big place. What do you mean by PWD? People with disabilities? Is that it?
Yes, that's what I mean.
I recently saw a tag that was used for this, people of determination. I thought that was a lot more positive as a spin, because really, yes, I think it explains it. So I will also, for everybody's education, I will just put people of determination. So I thought that was a very positive way of putting it. Okay. So we await your context, Innocent. Okay. Oh, Sadie, I think I missed your initial submission. I can't. So what I see here are your stakeholders. It would be good to see your beneficiaries and your context. And give it a few more minutes, and then I think we'll end. We'll just use a few as an example for discussion, so we don't take too much time. I see everybody coming in with their, oh my gosh, Bello, you came in late, but very comprehensive. Okay, excellent. Right. Target population. Is there a community that you're targeting, Bello? Any state, any local government, any? Yeah. It would be good to know. And then the context will also be useful.
Yes, ma'am. I've included the community there. Saki West Local Government. I think.
Okay, Saki West. Okay, I see. Okay, I missed. Okay, thank you. Where is that? What state is that, out of interest?
Oyo State.
Ah, interesting. Oyo is a state for everybody's benefit. Let's compare. Interesting, Sandra. I'll just write a few more and then I'll stop so that we can continue. But I'll implore others to keep going with their solutions. Okay. Sorry, Noel, what's KN? Is that Nkrumah University of Science and Technology? Just I think so, but just to if you can confirm, please, what KNUST stands for. Noel, I think it was Noel that posted this. Okay, so let's pick a few as an example. I think, Asile, you were one of the first to submit, so maybe let's start with you. And just hear about how you went about choosing the demographic that you've chosen. And just for the purposes of everyone, if you can also list the solution, because here I think you said the problem is lack of accessibility to sufficient information on searching for jobs in the fourth industrial revolution. there's a need to be educated on how to create CVs, cover letters, coaching on different career streams through career fairs. So if you can just recapitulate for us what the solution is. Is the solution to create a platform to help people review their CVs and resumes and to coach them through career fairs? Or if there's a refinement of the solution, please let us know so that everybody is aware. That's one. And then secondly, please also let us know why you chose this demographic and why you think this solution is going to solve this problem.
All right, thank you. I'm so sorry about the part with my video. So I specifically chose this program or this specific focus because I am also a graduate and I have not had a stable work history. So I've never had a permanent job. I moved from contract to contract and I got to a point where I was like, let me actually freelance. And while I was doing that, I then saw that there was a need to aid others with finding employment because people would come up to me and say, oh, you always are able to find a job, even when you lose a job. How do you go about it? And through conversing with people, I realized that people don't know basic things. Like some people don't even know how to construct an email, for example. I run job readiness workshops. I do that for free. I assist people with preparing for interviews. I also have let's say it's a clothing bank. So what I do is if you're going to an interview, you borrow clothes from me, you wear those clothes to the interview, and then obviously you are going to sign them back. And I hold workshops in specific communities on how to construct CVs. The main issue that I'm still unable to solve though right now is the issue with data costs, because it's one thing for me to help you to prepare to find employment. It's another thing for me to practically create an app that is going to help you to use less data, because on my own, I don't have the finances to finance the creation of the app. So what I've done to mitigate that in the meantime, I've created WhatsApp groups where I share employment opportunities. I think I have about 5 and all of them have over 200 people in them. I also use a personal page on Facebook to post jobs. But the issue at hand is how do I assist people to apply for employment when they don't have the data to do so? That I'm still battling with.
Okay. That's to data. Okay. And so when you speak about the app that you need to create, is that because the WhatsApp and Facebook platforms are not effective enough? Is that why there's still a need to be able to develop an app to do it? This is one. And then secondly, you say that the challenge is that people are not able to apply because they have data access issues. Why is that so?
So in my country, in South Africa, data costs are exorbitant. Right? So
Somebody is, sorry.
Okay, let me just pause a little bit. Okay, can I go?
Yes.
All right. So our data costs are exorbitantly high. The vast majority of people are from the working class, so they don't have the funds to buy data. And because I'm in the Eastern Cape, we are predominantly a rural area. So access to places like libraries to access Wi-Fi is not a thing. You travel for quite a bit to even get to town to get access to Wi-Fi. So I might post a job, but the probability of a person applying without the resources is not the best.
But do you find that if they do have access to the data, they are able to apply, and as a result of the intervention that you are running, that they are more capable or equipped, let me say, to be able to access those jobs?
They do apply, because I know with the youth group that I run, prior to me running the youth group, I think I had about 3 gentlemen actually come up to me, and they did explain to me that before we had access to this youth group and we were able to come here once a week and get access to data and apply and interact, and you also assisted us with how to write CVs and stuff like that, we were at a place where we did not apply. How we went about applying was doing the conventional thing of knocking door to door. And now, because of the pandemic, that is not possible.
Yeah. And so so just to sum up what the actual intervention is, would you say that the problem you're trying to solve is the lack of access to data, or is the problem you're trying to solve the lack of employability or work readiness skills that people require to be able to access jobs? Because those are two different problems.
Exactly. That's actually an important question, and a light bulb just clicked in my mind. I think, considering your question, let me stick to the lack of employability, because you might have data in some instances, but you don't know how to construct a CV.
Yeah.
You don't know how to handle yourself at a job interview. You don't know the avenues that you'll use to even search for a job. So it's just not data related. I think I was making my problem, or I was focusing on the data issue and not the other imperative issues as well. So a light bulb just clicked. Thank you.
Okay, so this is good. So the solution is basically delivering, if I can sum it up, but maybe not the best description, but let's work with this: delivering work readiness or employability, I don't know, skills, training, and also maybe access to resources.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and now, do you charge for it now? Somebody is oops.
Sorry, I just muted the person.
Okay, thank you. So Esile, do you charge for this service currently?
I currently don't charge. So I have my day job, and then this is something I do on the side.
Okay, and do you intend to at some point? Is that the hope?
I do, but it's such a conflicting thing in my heart when I decide how I'll charge, because how do I charge someone without a job?
Okay, this is a good question. How do I? You will answer it soon. Person without a job. Okay, good. Now, what would you say is your success rate? So far, how many people have you done this for? And what's the conversion rate? Would you be able to say how many people have been able to actually eventually apply for a job and get the job?
Okay, so the tricky thing with running the WhatsApp group, some people don't come to me and inform me. So the people who have come to me, I would say, because I started last year, it's about 20 people that I've practically know of that I assisted to get employment. Some people will not inform me. That's the unfortunate reality.
Okay. And how do you run the session? So is it every week? Do you have like a calendar of activities? How does it work?
Okay, so I have a calendar of activities. I run the sessions. I there's a community. So I've picked like a community that I work with, right? So I run sessions with them once a month, and then I'm also available ad hoc, so they can contact me via WhatsApp should someone need to be prepared for an interview and.
Okay. And is this once a week? You'd say a few times a week?
No. Once a week on Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays, very specific. Okay. And you said you work with the community, so it's so this I don't know how to pronounce it. Trans.
Yes, that's perfect.
So this is the community you've chosen, and where do you find? So how do they find you? How do they?
Okay, so it was very easy for me to start the project because I started it at our local church hall. So it moved from church members coming to church members inviting local people in the community. And what I didn't mention is that I think I have 53,000 followers on Facebook. So I put up a post on Facebook, and then people saw the post and they came to the workshops.
Interesting. And roughly how many participants would you have at any given point in time for your sessions? Yeah.
Usually 30, 25. On a horrible week where it's cold or it's raining, 15.
Okay, well, that's still good. Okay, so 15 to 25, let's see. Okay, very interesting, excellent. Okay, and you mentioned your stakeholders here, so I would be keen to hear how they come into this work. So you said the Department for Education, Economic Development and Social Development, parents, schools, institutions of higher learning, potential employers, and other civil society organizations. So where do they come in, all these stakeholders you mentioned, into what you currently do?
So with the Department of Social Development, I did training with them briefly, right? So they assisted me with information on how do I facilitate such a workshop, right? And then with the Department of Education, I've sent proposals to them. They haven't responded yet, so I'm hoping in future they will. The department, what else? Can I just, let me reflect. Let me go back to my contribution. Okay, Department of Social Development. With parents, it's through interaction with them in church. So obviously they'll inform their children when they're supposed to come. And then schools, I host the CV writing workshops in different schools, right? So I've only been able to go to about 2 schools so far because we still have hectic corona limitations with accessibility to schools and stuff like that. And other civil society organizations, there's an organization that we have in our community called Equal Education. So they deal specifically with accessibility to higher education, helping impoverished communities gain accessibility to higher education through tutoring and the likes. So what they usually do is that when they have programs that they feel could benefit people in the workshops that I have, they invite them and vice versa.
Very interesting. And then the potential employers and civil society.
Potential employers, because I have such a big following, I do at times have companies come to me directly to ask me to help them to find people to fill roles. Then I'll obviously look in the group that I have at the church. If I can't find someone there, then I will extend it to a post in the WhatsApp groups. And then I will send potential candidates from either the WhatsApp group or from the group that I run.
Oh, very interesting. Celia, I think that you honestly, you have so many avenues for fundraising because for revenue generation, because you're clearly what you're doing works. And, even if, and so this is where we're going to, when we talk about pricing, costing, and all of those things, becomes very important because that's where you have to figure out your business model. Who is the person you charge? Because as you said, perhaps it's not the people that you are actually supporting. It could be the institutions, the companies that are coming to ask you for referrals, because what you're doing is you're like a recruitment agency for them, right? The monies that they would have to pay to a recruiter to find them talent is what they're basically saving, in a sense, whilst they're coming to you, right? And then the institutions of higher learning as well, there could be a symbiotic relationship there for you, with them. And then the schools that you hold the CV writing workshops for can also pay you. And as you said, accessibility is an issue, but you could do it digitally. So there's a number of, I think, things that actually you could do to generate revenue. So to me, it sounds like a fantastic opportunity, and we'll drill down a bit further. So let me pick one more person so that we don't hog this conversation on this. This is very exciting. Thank you, Esili, for all the thoughts. You've really obviously thought about this, and it's such a pleasure actually to talk about this. It's very much around what we do at SOS, so this makes me very happy. Very exciting. So let's pick someone else that has a slightly different thing. So we have, okay, let's try Sayedi Omar. This is going to be interesting. Okay, so you Sayedi, right. Let's see. Okay, so let me just call over. Right. So you've given me your stakeholders. Let's see. Your target demography. Okay, good. Nigeria. And the solution. Okay. Okay, and the context. Okay, so Shady, let's hear a bit more about your solution. So you are providing a solution to climate change by producing an innovative, it seems, type of wood from plastic and peanut husk. I've never heard of this before, so I'm very keen. I think it's better if it comes from you. So let's hear from you a bit more on the context, the solution that you've come up with as well, and why you picked the demographic that you did, because it's very unusual when you look at it. So just give us an understanding of what's going on with you. Why the demography? What's the, talk a bit about the context and the solution, how you came up with the idea. Is it being implemented anywhere else in Nigeria or around the world? Just give us maybe a bit more information. If you can unmute.
Okay. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
Okay, I'm not in a good background, so I'm not going to turn up my video.
Okay.
Okay. So for some decades now, we have been facing a lot of challenges due to anthropological activities, ranging from plastic waste, environmental degradation. All these account to global warming and irregularities in our ecological system. So for that, I've been curious how to solve this problem. So I came up with an idea. I started by, though initially I'm a recycler, so I used to recycle plastic and sell to those that are using it for industrial purpose. So later on, I started like, why can't I do this thing on my own? Why can't I help environment by recycling this plastic waste into a value-added product? So as an industrial chemistry student, it is one of our ethics to maintain our environmental standard. So I decided to recycle plastic. So after recycled plastic, I've accumulated a lot of plastic. So I couldn't have a clue on what to do with it. So later on, I started doing some research about how to utilize this thing. So I came up with an idea. So that idea couldn't solve most of my problem because there are some things that I really need to, in terms of financial aspect, there are some chemicals that I really need to add to this plastic in order to turn it into a value-added product. So I started penetrating into other aspects like agricultural waste. So under the confine of agricultural waste, I discovered that Nigeria is one of the highest producers of groundnut in Africa. It's the highest, #1 producer of groundnut in Africa. So what we really need in groundnut is only groundnut seed. So the shell is kind of a waste in our environment. So I started thinking, how can we utilize this groundnut shells into a value-added product? So I studied the groundnut structure. I went into a lab, I studied the fiber, and I relate it with wood. So, and I discovered that major problems we're having in the world today is deforestation. So how do we control this deforestation? Although I researched and I discovered that deforestation can be solved by afforestation. As you uproot a tree, you plant another one. So I decided to kind of create another path to solve this problem by finding an alternate raw material for these three products. Like instead of cutting down tree, why can't we use something else that will replace the tree? So I started studying the structure of this wood and that of groundnut shell. I discovered that they have almost same components. The fiber, the hemicellulose, everything is almost similar, but one thing is lacking, which is something that will bind this groundnut shell together, that will give us the structure of wood. So I decided that why can't I use something as a binder to bind this thing together? So as I researched more, I discovered that those things are very expensive. So I decided to penetrate into that of plastic that I've accumulated before, since I couldn't find the use of it. So I started studying it and I discovered that a plastic can be a perfect binder for groundnut shell. So from there, I started doing some research, and at long run, I decided to carry out the first prototype, although it was a mess. So I studied hard with my team members. I studied hard. We consult some of our lecturers and they guide us. And finally, we were able to produce the second prototype and the third prototype, which were almost exact structure with that of a wood product. And aside from that, there are some more quality. Like our product has more quality than that of a wood product. By the quality include water resistance. It can be very difficult to decay. So those are the qualities, and it is very strong. And we've carried out some mechanical property. That is, we pierce a nail into it and it enters. We've used one to construct a mini stool. Yeah. So my sister are using those tools now. So those are the summary about my innovation idea.
Interesting. Okay, so where do you, so there's a few questions. So where do you source the plastics and the peanut husk?
Okay, we source the plastic in our environment. It's a waste. So, and these days, the plastic have been kind of, people have been recycling it. So I decided to pay for it. I pay for some people to recycle the plastic for me, which was also create a job opportunity. And the peanut husk is a waste everywhere. Even if, like, there was a time I went to source for it, and one, what is it called? The places that they are grinding granola. So I went there to like, how much will you sell this thing for? He said, please take it away. It's a waste. We have no use for this thing. Just pack it and go. So I said, this will be a very sustainable raw material for me. So in order to maintain the sustainability of this raw material, I decided to I decided to like create an organizational structure. Under that organizational structure, we have agents. We have agent 1 and agent 2. So these agent 1 are the ones, are companies' own agents, whereby agent 2 can be anybody from the environment that will be recycling plastic for us, and then they will be selling it to us per kg. So this agent 1 are to collect the raw material from the agent 2, and then they will submit it into the submit it to us as industrialists. So that is that.
Where is the factory now? I mean, where do you make this? Where is the factory located?
No, it is not located yet. So we have been looking for a fund. Recently, we have been we won on campus hot prize. So by next week, I think we are going to pitch for them live about our distance. So we have been looking for a way to kind of get fund in order to initiate this business idea, to initiate the industry. So we don't have industry yet, but our product is like we have our product in hand, the prototype.
So if you had to situate a center, some facility where you produce this, where would it be? Where would the idea be?
Okay, like one of the factors we need to consider before situating an industry center is, where are we going to get our raw materials, like adequate supply of raw materials. So we decided to study northern part of Nigeria, and we noticed that they are the highest producer of granules in Nigeria. So like we don't have a specific state yet, but it will be between Sokoto, Kano, and Niger State. So around that, I'm from Niger State. So, and I school in Sokoto. So I know some things about Sokoto State, and I'm from Niger State. One of our team members is in Sokoto State. So those 3 states will be considered.
Okay. And
you said?
Please, so you, let's say you have the location, you've been able to source your inputs through these agents that sell you these inputs per kilo of plastic. You also source the peanut husks.
Yes.
What's the timeline like to be able to bring all these different inputs together to create the wood? And once you've created the wood, what do you do with it? Do you go ahead to produce the furniture, or do you sell the wood to whoever your off-takers are? How do you to be selling? What is the input that you're selling? Is it wood or is it furniture?
What we're selling is wood. So we are it's B2B business to business.
Okay. Yeah. And have you identified who those buyers would be?
Yes, I've identified. I started it there, the carpenters, the furniture makers, the interior and exterior designers, the constructioners, like house construction, those people. Like our product is segmented into three. We have ceiling boards that can be used for ceiling. We also have the plank. Those ones can be used for furnitures. And we also have 2 layers PHP composite. Those ones are for decorations, like interior decorations.
And how do you think that there's going to be an objection from your buyers in that they're all used to buying wood that normally you get from veneer or plywood or whatever? Do you think that they may have an objection to this type of wood that has been made from plastic and peanut husks?
Yes, not really, because we've discovered the weakness of wood, like wood made from trees. They can, with time they are kind of, they will decay, and what will I call it? They are like, they don't like water, like it got spoiled by water. Whereby our products, we've even inserted our products for a month in the water, and there's nothing, like there's no any change in physical properties of it, and also the mechanical properties of it. So our product is more of quality than that of wood, and at the same time, it will also help to cleanse our environment and to help contribute to the climate change. So those are the.
And what's the, much more expensive or cheaper is it than normal wood?
Yes, we compared with PHP. We compared with MDF. MDF is also a fiber wood, but the fiber is from the trees. So we compare, and we discovered that our product is almost 50 to 60% cheaper than the PHP of the same size, 8 by 4 feet.
This is very interesting. And who are the, if you think about your stakeholders, when you mentioned Nigerian waste management, construction firms, interior and exterior designers, carpenters. So the carpenters and designers and construction firms are your clients.
Yes.
Where do you see Nigerian waste management coming in?
Yeah, we're kind of, we're trying to create a collaboration with them in order to clean our environment. Sometimes they used to carry out some sanitation, like they will kind of clean the environment by recycling those waste material. So if we have that kind of collaboration with them, we're going to have a adequate supply of raw material from them. Kind of, yeah, that is why I included them among our stakeholders. We're to partner with them to help maintain our environment.
This is very interesting. Okay. Okay, we could go on and on, but I deliberately was asking a lot of those questions because it will lend to some of the conversation we're going to soon have. I mean, we can't go through everybody's submissions, but I just wanted to use 2, you could say, quite different solutions to just be able to demonstrate, some of the, the concepts that we're discussing. I'll try to pick up other solutions as well as we go along so that we have a good representation of everything. I think at this juncture, I will ask for us to take a short break because I noticed that we've been listening for over an hour, and maybe we need to take a pause. So maybe a quick 5-minute break, just to comfort break. If you need to go have some air, make yourself a cup of tea or whatever, please feel free to do that. And also, just to also say that I think I should have said this at the beginning, that please interrupt me as I go along. I know the schedule says Q&A at the end, but I don't think that's very useful. So if you want to interrupt and ask something or make a comment or an observation, please feel free to do so that we don't have to wait till the end to have a conversation. So I'll pause there, please. If we can take a short 5-minute break, let's be back by 10:53. I think is the time I have here. I hope
yes, 10:53.
Okay, good. So 10:53, I'll just put it in the chat box. 10:53, see you soon. Yes, I mean, we'll still be on the call. So in case anybody has any comment, please feel free. Yes, so let's just take a short break and then we'll continue with the other slides. Thank you. It's very interesting so far. In fact, I think I'm beginning to discover some things that I actually, me myself, I want to invest in. So this is very exciting.
Yeah, actually very engaging and
Yes,
interactive, I would
in
say.
fact, I think that we have too many things to even discuss. The time is too short, Shola, for next time. You know, when I looked at the timetable, I said, oh my God, how do we go through all this in 3.5 hours? It would be impossible, but necessary. So thank you. Okay, let me just pull up the slides first. Just go on mute. For those of you who joined, we're just taking a quick break for another 3 minutes and we'll continue. Thank you. Okay.
I think it's 10:53 now, so
Continue. Thank you. Okay, Chinoye, please can you also mute yourself if you're not speaking so we don't have too much background noise. Excellent. Okay, thank you. So, incidentally, we touched upon a lot of these things, and I'm very happy with the case studies that we use because data is everything. And you know, from what Celia said and what from Saeed said, there was a lot of research they had to do. They had to capture he had to do a lot of surveys, you heard. He had to go around to see, okay, where can I get these plastics? Who else is competing for the plastics? And came up with this creative solution of incentivizing people to sell him the thing that he knows he needs for his inputs. He had to do a lot of research to figure out that plastic is the appropriate binder, that can be used, which is going to be much cheaper than the other available alternatives in the market. He also had to dimension, okay, where can I get the peanut husks? He talked about Kano, Sokoto, and Niger State. In fact, also understanding the context is very important, which is what we're talking about here. In the case of him saying his school's in Sokoto and he's from Niger State, so it's going to be different for him compared to if he didn't know anybody there or he himself didn't understand the environment that he was existing in. So all these things are very important, and I think we're already learning from their situation. Now, Esili, we talked about isolating the problem. So Esili was trying to deal with several issues at the same time, but actually after much conversation, we realized that we could further isolate the problem into the lack of work readiness and employability skills and capabilities within the community and she existing. And so it's rather than focusing on the data as an impediment, as the problem, we focus on the solution, which can address the bigger problem. And that we now see the data. It doesn't mean the data is going to go away. The lack of access of data is still an issue, but it's more of an impediment or a stumbling block or a risk factor that she needs to keep a track of, understanding that some people will fall off the wagon because they don't have access to data. And she then has to come up with other creative ways of accessing them by bypassing this data issue, such as she said, engaging with the schools directly, running sessions in person, things like that are ways that she's going about that impediment or that challenge, that difficulty. Also, other things could be even partnering with telecoms operators eventually to be able to see how certain solutions can be provided for people to be able to access data in the rural areas. So when you look at MTN and the rest, sorry, Saidi, if you can also this would be helpful. So you can see in many cases that Shola, please, can you help? I think we have quite a few people that
yes, I'm muting them. I've already muted.
So and there are situations where, for instance, you could an MTN or a Safaricom, which is the other popular one, or Vodafone, could see the need to be able to roll out a certain solution to these communities through what they call last mile connectivity initiatives, right? They could do it as part of CSR. Sometimes there may be a commercial objective around it. So there are other long-term ways which may require more effort as you scale and scale SLA into other, communities, into tens of thousands of people that are part of this wonderful initiative that you have. Then you have this kind of scale to have those kind of conversations with the larger organizations. But you see, part of also a mindset and a willingness and readiness to be able to work is being able to not see challenges as impediments for you as the beneficiary, but as something that pushes you to try to overcome it. So if somebody really, really wanted to implement all the things that you taught them to apply for those jobs that could change their lives forever, they will make that sacrifice to drive the distance to the city to make that application. So it's also a mindset thing, and it also helps you determine who are the people who are very committed and against all odds will make it happen. And I say this with a lot of conviction because at Skills Outside School Foundation, the work we've done has taught me many things. I have met so many resilient people. You can't even imagine. Some of our students live in the worst circumstances. You know, some of them are orphans. Some of them live in abusive situations, very, very tough circumstances. But despite that, they still wake up every day and they make themselves. So that tells you something about the resilience of humankind, is that no matter what you do, if somebody puts their mind to it, no matter how hard it is, they'll make it happen. So sometimes also some of these things, we shouldn't necessarily see them as problems necessarily, but they're risk factors, they're challenges that may make the work we're doing harder, but not impossible. And there are also opportunities to partner with other organizations in the future that can help us address some of those impediments and those risks. It's also very important to understand the existing interventions. So Esili mentioned that, this basically nobody else is doing these sorts of things in the community, and that's why the institution of higher learning can be partnering with her. That's why the schools can be partnering with her. Same thing for Saidi. He's seen that nobody else has cracked this code, and it's cheaper, it's stronger, it's sturdier, it's better able to resist decay. These are all very positive things that you would have thought somebody else would have thought about, but nobody did. So he also understands that the existing interventions don't exist, and so therefore there's a gap in the market that he's feeling, which is very important. You don't want to implement a solution where so many other people are doing it and you're not really solving a real gap, right? Otherwise, it's not going to stand the test of time. Now, we talked about dimensioning the players, which is very important, and also determining what is out of scope. Again, I'll use Esili's example. This issue of data is she can only work around it, but she can't do anything short of setting up her own telecommunications company and providing data, right? So you have to also determine what is out of scope and see that as I said, a risk factor or something you can address in the future, so that you don't focus on it and it doesn't distract you from the solution that you are in front of. And then, of course, you determining your objectives. What do you really want to achieve? Esili mentioned that it's really about getting people ready so that they can apply for those jobs, so that they can access the jobs. For her, what would be success is getting these people who go through her program to come out getting the types of jobs that will be beneficial, meaningful, useful to them. Similarly for Saidi is that you're creating sturdier furniture. You are using materials on site for construction firms that can create buildings that stand the test of time. You are reducing the issue of waste in the community by using the peanut husks and the plastics. These are his objectives that he has set out. So again, setting out those objectives for yourself are very, very important. Now next, you then design the intervention that addresses the problems with a clear sustainability plan. So we'll talk about sustainability later on in the session to address the cases of things like Esili's solution or Lillian, who's working with Almajiri children. It's tough work. I know somebody who runs an organization called Almajiri Child's Rights Initiative. It's a very, very long journey. He's told me this many times that he's almost given up because the problem is so multifaceted. So sustaining it over time becomes very challenging, especially if it's a social project that may not be able to generate its own revenue and that you may have to rely on donations. So we will talk a lot about that. And then also identifying partners. Again, the two people who submitted the solutions for us talked about some of the partners that they're working with, which is very important, and how each of those partners are enabling them. I like how Esili, for instance, mentioned that the institution of higher learning is always looking for people that can provide the service she's offering. So she's giving them something that is of value to the people who are within their community, their institution. So that's a benefit that they're getting. She's also doing something that's leading to social development because unemployment will hopefully reduce, right? So that's a positive for the Ministry of Social Development. That's why they're responding to her. So you see, you always have to think about what's in it for the partner, because if there's no benefit for them, they're not going to respond to you. And I think those are some of the things that you should also think about. And then the resources you need. Saidi mentioned his. Esili, we didn't talk about that as much with you, but these are some of the discussions we'll have shortly. And then evaluating your success. How do you know you're successful? How do you create a system where you know you're successful? So for Saidi, if he keeps selling millions and millions of wood, then he knows he's successful. And if he's profitable, also very important, and that he becomes influential to the point that his wood replaces MDF, replaces plywood, veneer, whatever else is the alternative in the market. Esili will know she's successful if people are able to end up getting jobs. So we have to create a system where that data can be collected so that we can evaluate whether the work that we're doing is actually as successful as we say we are. And if not, what can we change? What can we do better? It's the same way for Lillian. Is it getting 50% of the Almajiri children off the street? Is that what's going to be success for you? Is it every other child? Is it conquering your whole state and making sure that state doesn't have a single Almajiri child? What's success for you in the short term, in the long term, in the medium term? And how do you measure that? How do you get your beneficiaries and the stakeholders to give you that data so that you can measure it? For Bello, is it from getting better health and safety records in the schools? Is it from having fewer people dying of basic medical issues in the school system that will make you feel that you're successful? So all those things we have to develop. We have to then develop indicators, know how to collect the data, how frequently, how we know that we're successful then becomes very important. And then of course, continuously bringing in others that can help us deal with the things that are outside of our scope, like the example I give for SED, eventually partnering with telecommunication companies that can help address this data problem that she's having, for instance, and then continuously advocating so that the work that you're doing is not isolated, that other players join in that drive that you're making, that more beneficiaries know about you, that more partners come to you, a lot like how we heard from the two people who submitted there and that we discussed, that they're able to crowd in partners to come and work with them. So very important. Now, in all of this, the branding aspects becomes very critical. How do you get to a point where if somebody talks about Almajiri in Nigeria, they'll talk to Lillian. If somebody is talking about basic health and safety, medical relief services in schools, they'll speak about Bello. If they're looking for that go-to person that helps you get that winning job, they look for Esili. If you're looking for the best wood ever, not just in Nigeria, even the rest of the continent, you go to Saidi. How do you get to that level where you become the reference point for your industry? It becomes very, very important. So for each of these, we have to think about the brand. You talked about mission and vision in the last session, which is good. We've talked about target audience. Now, what is the name of your initiative? Now, I know Saidi's business is called Greenlight. So let's pause here and hear about what the names of each of the initiatives are. I think Evolve is that of Michael. What else? Tell me what the names, how will people identify these projects that you've created? For all of you, please take a few minutes to just tell me, or if you don't know it already, to think about it. And then the second question that I would ask you is, do you have a logo? Do you have a tagline, like a motto to your brand? How do I summarize your brand in a few words? When you think of MTN, everywhere you go, it's simple. Without even knowing what MTN is, already they put something in your head that, okay, it means that these guys are like, everywhere. A KFC, finger licking good. What's your motto? What's your tagline? What summarizes in a few words who you are? So we'll pause there. Number one, your name. Number two, the name of the business, the project. Number two, do you have a logo? Colors? What does it look like? If you have a picture, please post it. It will be so nice to see. And then thirdly, what's the tagline? Like everywhere you go, finger looking good. Just do it. What's the tagline? Those are the two questions. I'll post it in the chat box. I'll pause for a few minutes, please, for you to also think about it. So name, logo, if you have a picture, please post, tagline. And it will pick a few people. This time, different people, hopefully. Oh, well, I love that. Don't waste the waste. I may actually steal that. Green light, please don't steal that. Okay. Really cool. Very nice. Do you have a logo, Noel? If you do, please do share it. You can just take a picture and put it, or tell us where we can find it, and I can look for it. So if it's on a Facebook page or whatever, actually, let me Google it even. Let me just Google it because you guys are doing that. Keep myself busy. Okay, sorry, I need to come off full screen for a second. Open my browser. Noel, we found you. Green, if I think this is you. Okay, yes, here he is. Very nice. In fact, I'm very happy you have. I'm going to use that for my. I was going to talk about that in a bit. So I'm happy. Okay, it's actually Emanuela. Oh, okay, sorry. I thought it was a male name. Actually, sorry about that. Okay, Emanuela. Yeah, okay. Very nice picture, madam. You look lovely. So yes, it's Kwame Nkrumah, really. Okay, interesting. So she has a logo. This is it. She even has a LinkedIn page. Very nice. Oh, she even has a website. Oh, you are a model case study for me, Manuela. I will use you, please, if you allow me. Oh, this is excellent. She has posts. You see this? Although one. Jobs. Okay. People. Interesting. Okay, let's see some more. Jobs with Essie. That's actually a nice name, Cecilia. So maybe you want to use that. Jobs with, yeah, this is good. I think that's very catchy. You should consider that if it's available with the Corporate Affairs Commission in South Africa. I think you probably have a similar structure there. You may want to reserve it. Okay. Even please you do explain to us, Michael, soon what this stands for. Marketplace. Okay. Green light. Build green. Build life. Wow. There are some very creative people here. It's very nice. D for C. Sandra, please, I may call on you to please explain shortly. Okay. Where the best gets better. Oh, this is fantastic. Skills on wheels. Oh, Lillian. I may still do so. Okay. Empower and advance your child for a safer Nigeria. It's very powerful, Lillian, but it's so true also. Because a lot of the vices we have I come from Borno State, so it's one of the states that has one of the highest amounts of numbers of Almajiri children, and there's a lot of articles and research that has been done to connect the Boko Haram insurgency a lot to the Almajiri child. So very powerful. Thank you. Disciples for Christ. Oh, very interesting. Thank you, Sandra. Growing stronger together. Okay. Let me see, what exactly is this business? I'm not curious. So, Sandra. Let me see. I see. Okay, this is the teenage pregnancy one. Okay. It's very good. Okay, so we'll use a few examples. Thank you. I think we have enough now. So, if you Upia Solutions, occupy till I come. Celia, this is also very intriguing. Okay, so I think I will call upon Sandra to speak a bit more about how she came up with this. I mean, you are, just for context, Sandra is working on with young girls based in Just North that are dropouts, where she primarily believes the context is neglect on parents, not desiring school, or them being lured by friends or desires of the world that leads to high cases of teenage pregnancy in her society. She believes it is true. I guess it's like a mentoring session, like coaching and mentoring session. Sandra, but explain a bit more, please, what the solution is and why you chose the name Disciples for Christ and Growing Stronger Together. If you can please unmute yourself. Don't worry if you can't put on your camera. I think we have bandwidth issues today, so it's totally fine. So Sandra, over to you, madam.
Okay, so basically the solution is to create a forum for younger girls between the age of 13 to 25, where we will sit and have a specialist who can take a discussion on sex education, the dangers of indulging in sex education at a tender age, and also to talk to them about control pills, because the location where I am coming from, that is one of the major challenges now with young teenagers, especially those that are just leaving secondary school and those in secondary school. So basically, that's major challenges we are having. So I came up with the name Disciples for Christ because I feel if you look at my stakeholders, mostly are from the church. Most of them are involved in lots of church activities, but yet it does not reflect in their lives. So one of the major things is to draw them back, remembering that they are disciples for Christ, and together we can grow better.
This is very interesting. Okay, thank you. And okay, let me call upon someone else. We can hear somebody else's thoughts. Thank you so much, Anna. Very concise, very, very interesting, actually. Give me a lot to think about. And it's simple. The solution is very straightforward, very simple. Okay, let's hear from Emanuela, yes, whom I asked to also speak a bit. So Green Eco works, don't waste the waste. If you can tell us a bit more, Manuela, on your
Hello.
solution. Yes, thank you. We can hear you.
Okay, so you want me to tell you a bit more about Green EcoWorks?
Yes,
Hello.
Green EcoWorks, why you chose the name Green EcoWorks, and how you came about the tag Don't Waste the Waste.
Okay, so the name Green EcoWorks that's the vision for the company. I want it to grow to the point that it does everything eco. As in, it's promoting a green economy, a green world, not just plastics, but with agricultural waste, with car tires, glass, aluminium, including what do you call this? Organic waste also, organic waste, converting it into manure, everything about waste. In fact, I want to make sure that any type of waste will not be wasted. But since we are starting, then we are starting with plastic waste. So that's why it's called Green Eco. It's everything about waste. We are working in everything about waste to create a green world. That's where the name Green EcoWorks comes from. And the tagline, don't waste the waste. I read a quote from someone, I've forgotten the person's name, but the person was like, nothing is waste till you waste it. And I thought about it and I realized it's true, because so far we've been able to find ways of using waste. Like it's amazing. Every day people are coming up with new ways, something you never thought of. Someone will come with a way to use it.
Yeah.
And then that waste will not be wasted. So at first I was using the nothing is wasted is wasted as my tagline. But now I want it to be catchy. I want everyone to remember it. So I've changed it to don't waste the waste. So yeah. So currently Green EcoWorks is into converting plastic into furniture. So we are making plastic sheets that is similar to plywood, as in the sizes, and also using lumber to produce furniture, plastic lumber. And it's 100% recyclable. After using it, if the customer feels that they are tired of the products, they want to throw it away, because we also want to prevent any waste, we'll recycle it back into another product. And so far, we are using homemade machines because there's no money. but we are making some impact. I think I started last year. I was alone, and I started collecting bottles from the campus, from Kwame Nkrumah University campus, from my classmates, from some of my lecturers, and from shops, restaurants around. I've been able to recycle around 350 kilograms of plastic, and I'm still collecting it. I've been able to get some machines, some carpentry tools, and I've gotten a team, and we are all working on it currently.
And are your team members all students like you, or did you find them?
No, please, none of them are students. I'm the only student.
You're the only student. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Let me confirm something you said. Did you say plastic lumber? Did I write it correctly?
Yes, please, lumber.
Okay, great. Okay, and you're currently using homemade machines, and you do this from your house, or where do you, or on campus, or where do you do it currently?
Okay, I started in my hostel room last year. I got a t-shirt press and I started using it to make sheets, which I converted into, I shaped into chopping boards because I wanted to try the material and get some feedback. And I gifted them to people. And so far I've gotten good feedback that is stronger than what they've been getting. And some people also gave me suggestions on how to improve them. And I've now got, one of my team members is an engineer, so he's making a machine which will make bigger sheets, which we can use for study tables, like bigger sheets for furniture. But the furniture I've currently made, I used the lumber, the plastic lumber, and the lumber has the potential to be used for roofing, construction works. But I don't have the capacity, so I have to buy it from someone else. And I just got access to a machine which will make the lumber. I will use to make the lumber myself. And that I'm also currently working on that. Every week I go there and I use the machine. We are making like yeah.
Very interesting. Then did you design this logo yourself out of
Yes,
interest?
please.
Interesting.
I'm a graphic designer too, and I'm a brand strategist.
And just out of interest, what are you studying now?
I'm studying forestry.
Wow, that's that's very, I almost would have guessed that. I would have said maybe an engineer or something, because you were talking about shaping it yourself, and I was wondering like mechanical or thoughts or maybe civil. So it's interesting to hear this. You're really inspiring for many people. Some of my students, there's so many of them that I talk to in the school system, they don't, and I think it's a similar maybe challenge in other African countries where they apply for the course they want and then they get given something else. And they're always very sad because, the thinking is always, you have to do a professional course. You have to do a professional degree, or go and become an engineer. Nobody ever looks at how you can convert any course that you're in into real value. And that's what you're doing. I've never heard anybody who's studying forestry, but you have converted this knowledge that you have into something very powerful. And you've even dabbled into things that nobody would have thought, like graphics design, you see, and you're now using it to your business. So I just want to use this example to inspire others, because I think what Emanuela is doing is amazing. Your skill set in graphics and brand strategy will go a long way in helping you scale this business, because marketing will be very critical, branding will be very important, and that's something you know. So not only do you know the product and how to make it, you also know the marketing around it. So that makes you a very powerful entrepreneur, because two of the biggest things in any business, which is creating a valuable product and being able to brand and market it, you have the two coming together. So very, very interesting to hear that. Thank you. I have so many questions for you. As I said, we can't go through everything, but thank you.
Thank you.
As we go along. So I'll go back to my slides very quickly, because I'm also mindful that we only have like an hour and a half or something left. So just to keep going, sorry. Yeah. So yes, so creating your logo, creating your taglines, and pitching your business. Okay, very important. We need, they call it elevator pitch, and we'll talk about it in a bit more detail, is being able to talk about your business, your project in a few words. So imagine you're stuck in the lift with your greatest mentor, or the financier of choice, or the partner of choice, or the stakeholder of choice, and you're stuck in that lift with them, and you only have 1 minute, 30 seconds, 90 seconds to just get that message across. How do you do it? This is something you really need to hone doing, because the opportunities will come and you may not be ready to seize them. So you have to always be prepared for this. Very, very important. Now, defining your brand becomes very critical. What makes your brand different? Integrating it, right? Integrating it within the sphere that you're in becomes also very important. How do you put the word out there? How do people perceive you? What will people say about Green Light, Green Echo Works, Disciples for Christ? What would people say about each of these brands? How do you permeate it across your communities and your society such that all the members of all the churches in Just North know you, Sandra, or that everybody in Kumasi and beyond? I mean, just look at how in this session we found Saidi and Emanuela, who are doing very similar things. Partnership, maybe. He's dealing with the Nigerian market. You're dealing with Accra. How do you come together? You're producing similar but complementary products. You're coming together potentially to be able to scale your work together, right? Share your ideas together and be able to grow a business under a joint venture structure. Why not? Share resources, share other things as well. So those are some of the things that please also continue to think about. When you see people who are doing what you're similar to what you're doing, don't necessarily always see them as competition, but potential collaborators. And then lastly is, how do you market that brand? How do you communicate it? How do people know? Some people mentioned, oh, I like Emanuela said, she gifted the products to her, the sheets, the chopping boards to her colleagues, her classmates, her, people within the campus. For Saidi, his agents are even an important source of his branding, because not only are they giving him inputs, they could also be talking to the construction companies and the designers and what have you. For Esili, she's working with this institution of higher education. For Sandra, she's partnering with the church, or the churches, let me say, to be able to put out the great work that she's doing. So really being able to market your brand becomes very, very, very critical. We talked about target audience. Now, again, it's important to know who your target audience is. Firstly, to know who they are, but also very importantly, what do they want? And how do you communicate your brand to them? I just want to use Sandra as an example, because when you see Disciples for Christ, you could think that she's limiting herself, because is it to say that there aren't other people that are outside of, that don't necessarily go to churches, that could be her demographic, right? But she was clever in what she did, because she said very clearly, if you heard her, that the reason she focused on this name is because majority of her target audience exists within the church institution, and they go to churches, they learn these things from their pastors, from their reverends, from all the men of God who are sharing these values with them. These are things that are in the book, it's in the Bible, and they're telling you. And what is religion? It's a way of life. But somehow, to what she said, they're not implementing what they are learning in the same churches that they are going to. So for her, she's bringing it back to say, how are you consciously implementing those things that you are listening to in the church when you go for service, for any engagement whatsoever? And so by using that name, she's deliberately speaking to those same people and saying, see yourselves as disciples of Christ. So it's a very powerful thing, because she's used something that can help her identify with the audience. They can relate. which is the last bit I have here. So you really need to understand your customers to that level of depth. Why do they care? What do they care about, rather? Why do they care about that? What is their lifestyle? What is their behavior? You know, what message would work for them? If I'm going to communicate something to them, do I put it in a jingle? Do I do it in a flyer? Do I go and make an announcement? Do I go on TV? Do I create a video? Is it what form of communication do I need to use to connect to them? Even the logo you choose is very important. Green EcoWorks is green. So by definition, her logo is also green. So all of these things have to be very deliberate in the way you design it. But this is extremely important. And we talked about elements of this earlier, so I'll breeze through this, but I just want to highlight it once more. The market research is so important. Who is the market? Where are they located? How large is it? How has it changed? How will it change in the future? Is it densely populated, like Sandra's in a church or in churches that are in Jos North? Or is it broad, like Emanuela and Saidi? The buyers of please do the buyers of this wood could be anywhere across the continent. They could be anywhere. They may not even be in Kumasi. They may not even be in Niger State, right? So how do you therefore segment them? How do you start with a few today and then grow to more? So like what Esili is doing is for Trans-Cape, I think is the pronunciation, in the Eastern Cape region. But in the future, it could be other communities around. It could even be completely outside of the region. It could be in Durban, it could be in Pretoria, it could be in Johannesburg, it could be in anywhere. It could even be outside of South Africa. This is something you could even be doing, Esili, to people here in Nigeria. Or you'll be surprised, even in Europe. Because the problem you're solving is very significant. And so your target audience could change over time. Also, your market could change over time. So don't be afraid for your market to also open up. And it's an important skill and a quick balance to know what is the point to pivot. Who are your competitors? Please, 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 never think you're the only one that is the game in town. This will be the beginning and end of your project or your business. You need to know who else is doing what you are doing. And they may not exist today, like how Saidi thinks he's the first mover. But I assure you, as you are developing your business, somebody else is thinking about something similar. Or somebody could hear this and say, I'll get to it quicker than him. I have the resources, so I'll undercut him. Okay? This is how Boa and Dangote started their kind of thing in Nigeria, for instance, around cement. So please be abreast of your market. Who else is in it? Who else is doing something? Are they collaborators or competitors? And if they are competitors, who are they? How do they operate? How do they price? What is their cost? Can you compete? How will they react to you coming into the market if you're not the first person there? And how will you react if you're the first person? This is very important for you to keep thinking about and doing research on, okay? Who are your suppliers? Saidi spoke about the agents that he works with and others. For Emanuela, who are they? Who are the people who are giving the plastics? Today you're collecting, I think you said 350 kg of plastics, but as you grow, you're going to need more. Where is that extra plastic going to come from? Why should they sell to you? Should they give you some kind of special discount, some kind of preferential pricing? Can you buy the plastic from them today and pay them in 6 months' time because they like you as a preferred client? Can they only sell to you? So they will not sell to anybody else but Saidi or Emanuela or Michael or whoever. You need to also talk to potential customers. Emanuela said something about this. I donated, I gifted it and I got feedback. Very important. Because sometimes as social change makers or entrepreneurs, we think we know what the market wants, but we need to ask them. Remember what we said in the beginning. Why will they buy it? Where else could they buy it? What do they think about it? And sometimes it could even be the way you even present it, or the way you distribute it, or the packaging, or, do you do deliveries? Do I have to go to a shop to see you? It's a bit like a silly. Do I have to come in person to access you, or can I just contact you on WhatsApp and Facebook? Do I need to come all the way to Saidi's factory, if let's say he does it in Niger State, to be able to get his product? How do people access you, and why would they engage you and not others? Why should people come to Disciples for Christ? Why can't they go and have fun elsewhere? So these are the questions we have to ask ourselves all the time. Now, we already did this activity, so I'll skip it, and also because of time. I want to highlight a few things here, and I will pause also just to get people's thoughts afterwards. Please, written communication materials are very important. So beyond the brand, beyond everything, do you have you yourself as the entrepreneur, you must have a personal brand. Do you have a LinkedIn page? Emanuela has a LinkedIn page. I like that. I'm going to Google a few people and see what Google has to say about you. And please do this, by the way, in your own time. You'll be shocked the kind of things that will come up on you. So let me pick somebody. Somebody I haven't. Okay. Let's see who's on the call. Edward. Okay. Let's see. Edward. Could this be you, sir? No. New Zealand painter, definitely not, right? Okay. Could this be you? Could this be you? No. Please, Edward, if we find you, let us know.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen yourself yet? No. Okay. Second page. It looks like there's an important athlete that shares your name somewhat. Okay. Still, maybe could this be you? Let's see. Facebook.
Facebook, I don't use Edward or say, but on LinkedIn, I use Edward or say.
Okay, it's surprising. I can't find you on LinkedIn for some reason. Okay, let me search here. Okay, Osei. Is this you?
I can't see your.
Oh, sorry. Let me zoom in. Can you see better?
No.
Okay. Zoom in. Is it better now?
I think I can't get access to your screen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we can still see your slides.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can still see my slide. Oh,
yes, that's what it's fine. Yes.
Okay, let me stop and start again. Oh. Oops. What's going on? Okay, it's not okay. Show all windows. Yes. What is happening? Okay. It's okay. It's only letting me share a page at a time. Okay, let me just do that. Okay. Can you see?
Yes, we can see now.
Okay.
Yeah, not me.
No. Okay. No.
Not me.
Okay. See all people results. Okay.
Not me. A lot of people use my name.
Yes, clearly. It's a very common. Okay. What am I? Okay, so this is me. Okay, so I think you probably couldn't see my Google page either. Can you see the Google results or not?
Yes.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yes. So I'm on page 2. I'm on page 3. and I still can't find you. So
maybe Edward, could you probably send your LinkedIn link to the chat?
Yeah, he can send it, but I'm trying to make the point here is that if you are a social change maker or an entrepreneur, you have to be high on the search list.
Yes, okay.
Yes, and people need to know you, because again, when people meet you, the first thing they're going to do is search you, right? They, everybody always does that. And you say, "Ooh, let me Google it. Let me Google her." You need to be present. You need to be visible. Yeah, that's the word, visible, to the world about what you're doing. So that means working on your online presence becomes very, very important. Grant interviews on newspapers to the extent that you can, of course. Be on radio, talk about what you're doing. Even if it's not about marketing the business, whatever, but talk about the issues that are underlying what you're doing. Go to webinars, go to conferences, network, interact, share your ideas. So like Emanuela, I don't think many people have figured out what you're doing in plastic recycling. I am probably 100% sure, if I can say that with some level of certainty, with no evidence to back what I'm saying, that I don't think anybody has come up with, Sayidi, this peanut husk, and this is the first time I'm ever hearing it. And we're an investor in a special economic zone that's based on wood in Gabon. We export, the wood that comes out of that zone this is 1,200 hectare land that has been given to us by the Gabonese government. And we've been going through third-party forest concessions and hours that we plant sustainably, very important, which we use in the zone. And we have investors from Vietnam, China, India, various countries around the world that come in, produce veneer. We're now the highest producer of veneer in Africa, second highest in the world. We produce sawnwood, we produce plywood. Over $2-3 billion of investment has gone into this zone. Imagine if governments knew there was an alternative to forestry, even if sustainably, that they can just use plastic waste, the same waste which we have, and peanut husk. Can you imagine the revolution that will happen in those industries? So you have to go and talk about what you're doing. People need to know that you are the authority on what you're doing. And if I Google you, I need to see content on you. LinkedIn. If you don't want to be on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, that's fine. I'm not on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm like a ghost. I barely even check it. But my LinkedIn, super active. I don't play with my LinkedIn because you never know who you meet. The number of people that I Googled myself and look at that is come up high on the list. And please don't confuse people with name changes. Very important. Don't use like me, Halima Abba in one place, Halima Ibrahim Abba in one place, Halima Ibrahim in another place, because people then can't find you. So please, Edward Osai should be Edward Osai everywhere. Is important. If you must change it, because that consistency is critical, so that when people Google you, they find you. And when they click on it, they can see that you are authority in what you say you are. So I open my page and it's consistency everywhere. I have my pictures, so you know what I look like. My name, I put a summary of who I am. Sorry, this is very zoomed in. So let me zoom out a bit. It's a bit difficult. Okay. My education, whatever. How you can contact me, my location, my features. If I speak, I put it. This is very important. It's not about humility. It's about, or lack of humility thereof. It's about projecting yourself and enabling people to connect with you and know the kind of things that you do. My activities are there, what I post. My summary of who I am, which is what Shola read. Sorry, Edward, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. The experience. Okay.
Hello, I've sent you a connection request.
Oh, thank you. Iman, okay, I just saw it. Thank you. I'll add you for sure. You know, what I do in my spare time, it's all there. So it's not, it's not a secret. My education, my volunteering, my skills, recommendations from people, courses that I've taken, honors and awards, if there's any, languages that I speak, very important languages, please amplify it. Mine is even neither here nor there. It's just Hausa, which probably only Emanuela and Edward and a few of the Ghanaians can appreciate Hausa language. Okay, maybe a few other places in West Africa, that's it. But imagine you speak languages like Swahili, French, that is a lot more universal across the board. Spanish, Turkish, international languages, Mandarin, whatever. If you picked a language like that, you should put it. And if there are local languages that you speak that enables you to do the great work that you do, put it. I mean, those are the sort of things that would help you. Organizations you represent, causes, interests. Please, if there's anything in this segment you take away from this, I beg you, work on your LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, open it. And if you have it and it's not active, it's not up to date, please, I beg you, update it. You need to have an online presence about yourself. It's very critical. Because first of all, the brand is you. Before it's even the business or the project, before it's Disciples for Christ, before it's Green Equal Works, it's you first. So please invest in that. Okay, just looking at the, okay, great. Now, back to my slides. Oh my gosh, I need to speed up now. Please create. So if you don't have a logo, create it. You don't have a brand name, come up with one, please. Come up with one and be very deliberate about, oh, sorry. My screen sharing is a mess now. Okay. Be very deliberate about, I hope you can see the screen now, the slides. Be deliberate about how the name is, how it's perceived, the brand, the tag, the products and services you have to offer, or the services. So is it mentoring sessions, a fora, as Sandra said, for sex education? Be specific. It's a CV writing workshop. It's a career fair. What careers, Esili? Be specific. What kind of products are you making? Saidi was very specific about different products. Duala was too. So let people know what you're doing and be concise about it. Then use that logo to create things like letterheads. Be a serious organization or serious business or serious project. Create it. It doesn't take that. You can use Canva to make letterheads. Canva is free for most of the templates. That's how we created all the SOSF material. It's afterwards that we started subscribing, $9.99, was it $14.99? Benny can correct me, but I don't remember how much it is now. But it was maybe only recently, and Benny can tell you if I'm lying, because he's a media and comms person, that maybe in 2 years ago that I think we subscribed to Canva paid. Before that, everything was just done, free. If you're lucky enough to be like Emanuela, who has graphic design skills, then you can create it yourself, right? Or you could talk to your friends. Leverage on your network. You may have a sister, a brother, a parent, an uncle, a friend, a colleague, whoever that can just take a few minutes to create the logo for you, create the these letterheads and all this. You can do it yourself. Almost everything in SOS when we started, we just did it ourselves. I have no clue. I have zero design and creative background. I have to tell you, I'm useless. But we found a way to just do it. The first logo we created for SOS was, I'm not too proud of it when I see it now. It was just blue because I just did it on some, I don't know, Microsoft Paint or whatever. And years later, we rebranded. So it's okay also to rebrand. Manuela spoke about that. She had a different tag and then it changed, right? Create business cards, please. In Nigeria, it costs 5,000 Naira for 100 business cards. That's like $10 or at the current exchange rate. No, that's less. It's like $8, something like that. I don't know what the price would be in Addis, in Kenya, in Eastern Cape, but I'm just telling you what it is, here in Abuja. And this is Abuja price. So I'm sure if you pick other states, probably even cheaper, right? Please, if you don't have them, create them. Be a serious person and present a serious brand. These things matter because when you go to places and you say, take my card, you'll be like, this person knows what they're doing, not, that you don't have any. No, please do these things. Create an email address. It's free. There are so many free tools. Zoho Mail was the first mail that SOSF used. Free. We created skillsoutsideschool.org. We just had to buy a domain name. It was like, I don't know, $10, $20, something. You know, it's a small investment. Please make it. Buy the domain name. Secure these names. Register the names. These are very, very important because somebody will come and copy the great work that you've done only because you forgot to register a business name. You don't have to set up a company. Just go to your Corporate Affairs Commission and register the business and create it by the domain name, usually .com. That's the easiest one, you know, and use that to create your email accounts with, I just used Zoho Mail as an example. I'm sure there are many others. You guys can educate us. Create your email signature, CEO, lead, head, director, whatever. Eco Green, Green Eco Works, sorry, Green Light, Disciples for Christ, Even Marketplace, Africa Change Makers. Create a profile, a quick brochure I can look at that tells me who you are in a few pages. Again, use Canva. You can do it yourself. The first brochure we did, I created. I'm useless. Honestly, I swear to you, I have no creative bone in my body. But we did it. Was it perfect? No, but it got the message. Website. I love that, Manuela, you have your own website and you have a LinkedIn page. Please update it, post on it. All the great stuff that you're doing, do it. I mean, I showed you earlier, Manuela only had one post. Please, these are the things that are please do them because they're very, very important for your image. Very important. At the minimum, if you start with this, it's okay. And then keep up with it. These are, again, as I said, things that you can easily do for yourselves. So please do them. I was going to go through some communication skills, but I'm not even sure this is necessary, so I'll skip this. I'll skip this. Now, elevator pitch. I think let's do this quick exercise. We'll pick a couple people. Please pitch your idea, your business, your enterprise in 30 seconds. Do we have any takers? 30 seconds, no more. I will time you. The best one gets a prize. I will not tell you the price. That's my only incentive.
Oh, who's going to get the prize though? Who is going to pitch? Do we have anyone that wants to pitch?
Emanuela, I'm happy to see your comment. Thank you. We'll definitely share it with you. That's the whole point of being here. So we will. So, Shola, if not, I give you full rights to pick someone.
Okay, I like that. Okay. Lillian, please, could you pitch your Lillian FOB, if I pronounce that correctly?
I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Okay.
Don't worry. It's all no judgment. Just
Thank you. Okay. Hello, my name is Lillian FOB. And to be sincere, I have been so worried about the insecurity issue in the northern region, which has escalated to other parts of the country, and anyone can be a victim actually. So I've been communicating with some group of young persons, about 3 or thereabout, and we decided to come up with a sustainable solution to tackle this challenge from the root cause. We know the government have been doing several things, but yet this still persists. So our innovation or solution is sustainable in the sense that it does not relegate the system, and it's called the Emerging Reformation Project. That is, we're looking towards empowering and educating these children. We actually did a survey, and these children are very receptive of our innovation. They are willing to go to school to learn these skills so they could be useful to themselves and not go on the street to beg. And with all due honesty, this solution will also prevent the recruitment of these children by terrorist groups to become future terrorists, thereby limiting every form of banditry or even terrorist attack in the future. And if we get government support, not just government support, but the support of every stakeholder, we believe that this solution will actually reduce the insecurity rate in the country. Thank you.
So you see the time, 1 minute, 14 seconds. Aha, Lillian. Okay, no, but we'll keep that. I'll come to you.
Okay.
But it was good. It was well, she was very you could hear the passion, but she just kept going. She was just like, I need to chuck everything in such a short. I know it gives you pressure when you do this elevator pitch because it's like, oh my god, the time, it's still matter. But you see, it's very good because it forces you to be concise. You may never really stick to the 30 seconds. You know, most people can. Even I still struggle to do it. So you have to keep practicing before you get to the time. But it's about that feeling of sense of urgency to get it out. So I'll pick on another person, Shola, if you allow me this time.
Yeah, okay, no problem. You can.
But Bello Abdusalam, please.
I was going to pick him actually.
Okay, that's good. Okay. You share my husband's name, Bello. So yeah, maybe this is why I'm lit. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Bella Abdusalam, please. Hi, Bella, are you there? Let me ask to unmute. Okay, maybe. Hi,
Yeah,
Bello.
Bello has let me down now. It's okay. Okay. Shut up. You can pick another person and then we can end this. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll pick Frederick Martin.
Yes. Good choice. Yes. Our Kenyan brother.
Frederick Martin. Hi, Frederick.
People are shy.
Don't let us down.
Maybe they don't. Lydia, you see, nobody wants to come after you. It's a tough act to follow, eh? Okay, Bello is putting up his hand. Okay, so I think.
Okay. Okay, Bello, please, you can go. You can go ahead. Bello, please unmute your mic and go ahead.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I accepted the invite. Actually, Bello sent it to me as well. Apologies, so I've just accepted it now too.
Oh, okay. I think he has been having problems with his mic. He said, "Can you type the pitch?"
It's not the same. Okay, maybe
exactly.
Record it and send it then. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe we pick one more person and then let's see.
Okay, what are we picking? Betsy. Just came to me. Betsy Melody. Hi, Betsy. Okay, if Betsy is not available, can we go with Saidi?
Yeah.
Saidi?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Wow.
It's like, oh no, not me.
Okay. Let me try.
Yes, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, Greenlight is a Nigeria-based startup company focused on delivering sustainable solutions to Nigerians and beyond. The primary area of development we offer include alternate raw material for deforestation from product, circular economic and long-term job creation. Greenlight is not only trying to solve this problem, but also monetizing the problem by converting the environmental posing challenges into a value-added product, and also creating job opportunities that will help empower the youth and also help clean our environment. Thank you.
Wow, very like I should show you. And even the extra second was
It's a one.
It's because I did it, to stop it. So 30 seconds record.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I need to talk quickly. So I hope people catch it. But I just this is also just to start getting you to think about preparing yourself for this. But I just want to say a few things. I think CED, you maybe it's the pressure, but you sounded so serious throughout the thing. people also need to feel you as well, and you know where your idea is coming from, and you know really be able to communicate it. Being fast is also not helpful because people will not be able to hear you. So it's better you go off the time and communicate it than to rush through it and then lose people along the way. But I think what Saidi did very well is that he was able to communicate the problem and talk about the solution almost around the same time. Now, I would contrast that with Lillian, who was so passionate. You could feel you can tell that this person is like, I want to do this thing. I believe my solution is the answer to these problems. I'm so worried. I'm so connected to this problem. That is why I decided to do this Amaji restoration project. So you can feel the passion and the drive and the commitment. You believe her. And you know, most times when you listen to a pitch, you have to connect with the person first, even before the idea. So I think that's something Lillian did very well. However, Lillian didn't really tell us too much about the Reformation project. So you said they would like to go to school, all of this, but what is it that you're doing for them? I didn't get it clearly. Maybe others heard, but yeah, I missed it. You know, so that's also something I think to be mindful of in your pitch. So very much so when you're doing pitches, try to, you know, communicate yourself, your passion, why you're doing it, what the problem is at the heart of it, what the solution is, like what the project or business is, and how people can access you. Always leave them with something that enables them know how to connect to you. Is it on a website? Is it where do they find you? Now you can tweak it depending on who the recipient of the elevator pitch is. So if it's like an investor, you may want to talk about your profitability or something like that, or the scale at which you're doing what you're doing. If it is a government or a partner, then you may want to start talking about how they can potentially come in. So we're seeking for this. But for a general elevator pitch, I think sticking to who you are, like why this thing is so important to you, why you're the right person to deliver this solution, what the problem is, what the solution is, and what you're actually like what the solution is, what you're doing, and how people can connect to you are the basics for any basic elevator pitch that you're doing. So I'm happy that those two people, sorry, you didn't offer yourself, but we kind of forced you. So sorry about that. But
Emanuela says she wants to pitch.
Okay, she wants to pitch. Oh, great. I saw her hand up. Okay. Sorry.
Hello.
Yes,
Please,
ma'am.
can you hear me?
Hi.
Yes.
Okay, I'm starting. My name is Emanuela P. I'm the founder of Green EcoWorks. Green EcoWorks helps individuals, organizations, and households to save money on maintenance and replacement costs on wooden furniture, interior design, and construction components by offering them a more durable, waterproof, and rust-proof alternative material made from recycled plastic. Thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful.
24, wow.
I stopped it at 24, but I think it was actually 22. It's just before I turned it stopped it. It took some time. Very cool, level-headed, concise. I'm Emanuela. She introduced herself. Thank you. You shared another thing that I didn't even mention. I'm Emanuela. I'm the founder of this. She told us the name up front. So even if I was not listening again, I've already heard Emanuela and I have heard Green EcoWorks. So even if I miss everything she said, I can always go and Google her. Okay. Then she's told you what it is, what it's trying to solve, the alternative. You said they're creating an alternative solution, and it's more durable. Is, you see, she put all the qualities of the product in the elevator pitch, and then she even told us who her buyers are, construction companies. So anybody who listens to that walks away knowing, okay, I know the name of the company, I know who she is, so I can go and check her out later. I know the products, I know why it's so different, and I know who the target is. So even if I'm not her target customer, I already know, okay, if I have a friend who runs a construction company, I'll be like, hey, guy, I just heard this. So very beautiful, fantastic pitch. And she was not fast. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for that comment that you made. Very, very beautiful comment. And I like how everybody is giving their feedback. So please keep it going, because I don't want it to just be me. all of you are also here with us. So thank you for that. I think we'll move on very swiftly because we have to keep going because of time. But thank you for that. Now, few things also to consider. We talked about this under market research, but I want to highlight it a bit more. Some of you may already know these principles. I'm just highlighting them again. Marketing mix. You have to think about the 4 Ps, as they say, 4 Ps. Product, place, promotion, price. Very important. Now, I'll take them. We were supposed to do an exercise, but I'm not sure we have time for it. Yeah, we don't have time. Sorry. So I have to skip it. It was supposed to be Coca-Cola versus Pepsi that was supposed to analyze it, but we don't have time for that. So let me just go through all the other things. Now, we talked about this already on the, let me move this. Oh, thank you, Noella. Yeah, on the product side, we talked about also things you need to think about. Identifying what a customer needs and prefers. We talked about this. How your customers view your products. What are the features? Like what Noella said, all the features. Saidi did the same. He said not open to decay, stronger, cheaper. Very important. Think about what their needs are and focus on those aspects of your product that meet those needs. So like Estile would say, Jobs is Estile. I have a track record of placing 80% of the people who go through my program. Or, sell the feature, sell the dream, sell the vision to them. The girls who come through my program, my teenage pregnancy fora, this is how their life is transformed. Testimonials. So think about the features, the benefits. And what kind of product is it? Is it a luxury product? Is it a mass market product? Are you making money on price, on volume? These are some of the things you should also think about. How do you want your product to be perceived? And you need to be aware of how people judge or think of your product, and therefore being able to market it. And then we talked about competition. Now, under price, very, very critical. Please, there are some very interesting things here on pricing. You have to think about the kind of product you're providing. Is there a demand for it, or do you have to create the demand? So like today, Saidi and Noella, they have a product that will always be in demand. We're always looking for wood, right? So that means the issue is not really of demand, but then the question is competition and cost. Are they able to produce it cost effectively, and therefore the price is cheaper or not? Competition, the price is affordable rather. Competition, who else is selling a similar thing or doing a similar thing? Because that will also determine what kind of price that you have to offer. If there are too many people who are providing your service, then you have to compete on that. The same way, if there are many people like Disciples for Christ, nobody will fund you through a grant or whatever for you to do your teenage pregnancy forum. If there are too many people who are doing Almajiri initiative, nobody will respond to Lillian. So you have to think about that as well. And the people who have the thing, everything is like an enterprise. So all of what I'm saying applies whether it's a commercial or a social thing that you're doing. It doesn't matter. Because we SOS now, we have to go and compete for grants. We have to go and compete for funding. I have to go and pitch myself in front of donors who will be looking at me like, well, I could have given my money to somebody else. Or we put together global giving crowdfunding things. And people are looking at so many different types of projects on global giving. Why should they press donate on SOSF's donation bucket and not somebody else? So you have to also think about all of those things. People also look at the cost effectiveness of what you're doing. If Disciples for Christ, it's costing you 500,000 naira for every 20 girls to do this advocacy work that you're doing, and somebody else is able to do it for half the amount for whatever reason, because their cost is lower, then I would rather give it to them than you, Sandra, even though you're doing fantastic work. So you also have to think about how effective you are cost-wise in delivering that service that you're delivering, whether it's free or paid for. You have to think about pricing. For those who have a commercial venture, how do you get people to buy your things? I'm sure most of you have seen this where you are. Maybe there will be discounts, right? If you buy If you buy one, you get one free. If you buy this and you refer somebody, you get that one free. If you buy 10, you get one half price. If you come only in the summer, like in the UK, summer and Christmas is like the period of discounts, right? So some people just wait till the summer before they buy all their things, right? Because they want to get that discount. So is it the kind of market where you can provide those kind of seasonal discounts? Can you use vouchers for people, to encourage them to be able to buy your thing? So if you use this, you get 10% off, 20% off, 30% off. If you bring, so you could also tell same thing even for like a Lillian. You could say to one of the Almajri kids, if you bring your friend or your sibling or whoever else it is that needs that service, then I will give you this. So you're giving them incentives to bring more people that can benefit from your intervention. If you buy a certain amount over a year, we'll give you free, sometimes even cash. Or the same way you have now, where some people give conditional cash transfers. You go and meet a mother of 3 children and you say, if you take your kids to school, or if you bring your 3 girls to our teenage pregnancy forum where we can talk about sex education with them, we will pay for one of their school fees. These are all the kind of things that encourage people to uptake your services or your products. So please really think about this, to what extent these things can apply to the services or the products that you are currently offering. The place, where do you deliver it? Where are these buyers? Or where are these beneficiaries? Let me see. Sandra recognized the church as the place. Esile mentioned the institution of higher learning. She talked about the community. She talked about many places where she can access these beneficiaries. Word of mouth. Where are your beneficiaries? Where do you access them? How do you distribute to them? So these furniture that you're making, Emanuela, how do you get it to the end customer? Do they buy it from your, hopefully soon to be your factory eventually? Or do you take it somewhere to them? Do you take it to a distributor, an agent, a retailer that they buy? These are things you should certainly think about. Lillian talked about dealing with the malams and all of this. They are her distribution channels. She has to get through to them to access the Almajiris because they listen to them. They come under the tree in their houses and they learn what they learned through them. So if you go to these third-party intermediaries, you access the Almajiri children. So these are some of the things that you need to reflect on. How else can you put out your things? Do you go to conferences, seminars, events, church fellowship programs, sessions? Do you go online? Where do you access these beneficiaries? Can you use e-commerce platforms? What's his name? Michael was referring to Evin Marketplace. It's more or less an e-commerce concept around made in Africa goods, right? So could it be also that you have to partner with some of these existing e-commerce sites to put the same products you have on the Even Marketplace on these platforms, so that if somebody signs up to Even Marketplace, if they go onto Jumia, they'll still see your product there. Or if they Googled the product, different sites will pick up the same product, right? This is a classic example of all these job websites. If you post your job in one job website, different other job websites take it. So those are some of the benefits of you posting on that job website, because other people will pick up on the same thing. The same way you publish a news in leadership and other third-party platforms or blogs will cover the same news. That's the benefit of being able to use some of these distribution platforms. Could you also share offices, share locations? So let's say Esile is running her jobs with Esile platform. Could she have a desk in the institution of higher learning? So that if you're looking for her, that's where you go to. And she can put a desk officer there because she works. Could Sandra partner with the church to give her a small space where she'll be running sessions regularly? So she doesn't have to look for her own space. It's almost part of the church program, actually. Maybe every Tuesday evenings, Every Thursday evenings, there's a forum for teenage girls to come and meet to talk about sex ed. You know, so things like that. How do you leverage on all these partners and stakeholders that you have? The Waste Management Institute, that organization you mentioned, Saidi, how do you partner with them so that you have like a desk there where you know, people come to them to be able to access you? How do you go and partner with the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission so that if any investor comes in and they want to deal with anything good, it's Saidi they come to? Same thing for Noella. What's the equivalent in Ghana? So all of these things, please think about them. Then lastly, promotion, word of mouth. We heard this already. SOSFLead mentioned this. Newspapers, how much do you use them? I know they say newspapers are dead and only our parents are the ones that, you know, read it, but truly there's a lot of benefit, digital and the paper. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I just use these three. I don't know why I forgot LinkedIn, my dear LinkedIn. But there are several others. Email marketing. MailChimp has a free option up to 500 people. Beyond that, you have to pay. But it's a start. It's free. Testimonials and endorsements. How many times have you gone on SOSFLead to get one of the people who took a job to record themselves talking about how your platform was so fantastic for them? Because that's what you're going to put on your Facebook and your WhatsApp and market with. Saidi, who has used these boards? This wood, sorry. How do you use that? Lillian, how many Almajiris have you tested this on? And how have they shared their testimonials of you? How have you partnered with larger organizations like the one I mentioned to you, the Almaji Child Rights Initiative, to endorse you? Because that's a bigger organization that has a lot of influence, but they are mostly advocacy. They don't do interventions. So maybe they'll see you as the intervention partner. The guy is like part of One World Initiative, UN SDGs. He's met the Amina Mohammed, UN Deputy Secretary. So he's a very outward guy, right? So how do you work with him and benefit from that endorsement? How can what's his name? The Ministry of Social Development, SOSFLead, endorse you? Same for Noella. Are there people you can work with? Those friends and family that use your chopping board, can they record themselves? It doesn't have to be fancy. Just, hey, look at this new chopping board. It's fantastic. It's from Green EcoWorks. Let's use these things to really put out our work. Flyers, experiential marketing. You get people to just come and experience it and then tweet at it, hashtag, recording, testimonials written. All these things are important. Billboards are a bit expensive. So I'm just putting that there anyway, in case. But it depends. It's from state to state. Some places, the billboards are, you know, nobody really uses them. So if you put up the billboard, it makes a difference. Imagine putting on billboards that just says, don't waste the waste. You've not promoted Green EcoWorks, but you promoted the idea of not wasting waste. So all of these things, you have to think about it. Same thing for, you know, Lillian. You're putting out the concept of people caring about Almajiri and seeing the connection between insecurity and Almajiri problems, you know? So all these things, please, we talked about business card. Keep in contact with your beneficiaries. Seek for contact information, email addresses, phone numbers. Put them on groups. Connect with them, talk to them. Like our students, they graduated years and years ago. In fact, I should tell you, maybe I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but Shala, forgive me. But like Innocent is actually my student. I trained him. It was very exciting. You know, I remember the first time I met him. He was one of the most amazing, smartest people I have ever met. I was so inspired by him. Really, he's one of the most inspirational young people I have ever met. Very resilient. You know the resilient people I mentioned at the beginning of this session? He's one of them. And till today, look at it. He's now here doing Lead4Change, right? He set up many things. He has a palm oil business. He has this change makers group that is comprised of young people from all across the continent. He's done sign language classes for people of determination. These are all fantastic things that he has done. And we still keep in touch with him. He calls me sometimes. I'm sorry, Innocent, I don't always respond. You know, I'm sure he's so frustrated with me. I'm always unavailable. But, you know, 8 years later, we're still together. You have to keep in contact so that they share what they're doing. You're part of their lives forever because you're creating change. Put out email newsletters, post things, ask for feedback, send feedback forms. Get the data. Data is everything. Never let go of the data, please. Give loyalty cards. Give, reward loyalty to repeat people that are coming. Special celebrations, Ramadan, Eid, Christmas, Easter. Do discounts, do special things, give out gifts, give out free things. Certain holidays, Black Friday, Halloween, conduct clearance sales if you must. Do things to be able to encourage the promotion of your products and services. We're supposed to work out a marketing plan, but please allow me to give you this as homework. if I'm allowed to do that, Shala. And I will review them, even though I'm not your next facilitator. Please do it, because it's really for your sake. I wanted to end with the numbers. I promise I'm not gonna scare you, but it's to start thinking about your numbers. Costing is so important. People don't know their cost. You'll be very surprised, because a lot of things we do in our own time, we don't monetize it. So, for instance, Noella designing her own flyers, because she's a graphic designer, should be costed in her numbers. Now, does she pay for it? No, but it should be there. So if I ask her, Noella, what are all your costs of running this business? She should have a line item on designing flyers or anything else that she designs herself. And there should be an amount, what she would have paid if she didn't have the skill. Is very important. There's a difference between cash and cost. Please, because this is how we under-scope our businesses or our projects and our initiatives. Because a lot of things, my sister is doing it for me, my brother is doing it for me, my husband is doing it for me, my friend is doing it for me. Yeah, okay, they're doing it for you, but if you didn't have them, what would it have cost you? You have to capture that cost. Otherwise, the day your sister and brother don't have time to help you, you'll be in trouble. That's when you realize you cannot sustain the project or you can't sustain the business. Please, if there's anything in this section you take, please, cost properly. Sit down as part of this, after this, put together all of your costs, every single thing, and I've split it here, fixed and variable. If you need to have a space where you normally would rent, even if you don't pay for it, put the cost. Equipment. Noella spoke about equipment. Saidi spoke about equipment. If you have equipment, put it. And equipment can be anything from the machines to even having a camera to take pictures, to having a small printer that you can be printing papers, forms, documents, and things like that, to anything at all. Equipment. Salaries. Even if you don't pay yourself a salary, if you could, what would it be? Put it. And everybody else in your team that supports you, whether they volunteer or not, include it. Your utilities, electricity you have to pay, water, all those things. Even if you're doing it out of your house, your friend's house or your house or whatever, what would you have paid had you had to pay rent or pay for the electricity and water? Office supplies, pens, paper, whatever you need to use. Talk about rent. Personnel, yeah, we spoke about that. Admin. The website, maintaining, buying the domain name, renewing your registration, doing your numbers, subscribing to a MailChimp eventually when you reach hopefully more than 500 people. Repairs and maintenance to your equipment. Your selling and marketing costs, the designs, the flyers, the ads, putting things on Facebook and boosting the post. Those payments you make to Facebook to boost the post, you have to put it. All of those things are costs that are fixed. No matter whether you do the thing or not, you must incur them. The variable ones are, it depends. Okay, so you travel, there's an expense. You have to do research, there's an expense. You have to buy you have to pay the agent for the, plastic is an inventory. There is a raw material. You have to pay for logistics, maybe moving something from point A to point B. All those things are dependent on whether you are delivering the thing that you're delivering. Okay, so all of those things, please separate the two. This is a quick exercise here, but just to explain, get a stock of those costs. I have given examples here. So it costs you, let's say you're making a muffin. It costs you flour, eggs, you require flour, eggs, and other ingredients to make muffins. It costs you 20 naira. You have to pay electricity and water bills, 1,000 naira every month. You have to pay salaries to the person who runs your shop, 2,000 naira every month. You have to pay, sorry, I'm using naira, but assume it in your currency of choice, dollars, rand. I suddenly forgot the Kenyan currency. Oh my God.
Shilling.
Shilling, thank you. I blacked out there, I'm so sorry. Shilling, whatever it is, do put that. And then you have to pay 100 naira to market the product on your Instagram page every month. You have to also pay the person for a rent, right? Which is 2,500. So you add it up. Now, the rent, remember, is fixed. So that's why I have 2,500 here. The amount you have to pay for advertising is fixed regardless, which is 100 naira. Your salary, the one you're paying, is 2,000, so it's also fixed. And then the last one is electricity and water bills, which is also fixed, 1,000. In total, that's 3,000, 5,600 naira is your total, what do you call it? Fixed cost, right? Oh, my math is wrong. And then your variable cost. Now, remember we said 20 naira per muffin. So if let's say I choose to make 10 muffins, 100 cakes, sorry, that's 2,000 naira for my variable cost. So if you add up the two, 5,600 and 2,000, sorry, there's an error there. You get to 7,500. That's your total cost. Now, if you sell no cakes, you still incur the 5,600. So please, the fixed cost is very important because that's why a lot of people underestimate their costs. So I urge you to also think about this, reflect on it, and do this exercise. Oh, I don't know what happened. Okay, sorry. Okay, let me continue. I'm almost done, I promise. And then we can open it. So again, this was an exercise, but yeah, may not have time to do it. So I will let you maybe do this in your own time, call it homework. But please do it, very important. And your finances, I will just speak about this very generally, because we're not accountants and I don't want to fry anybody's brain. But this is very important, particularly for people who want to raise money in the future. So you're still at the early stages. If you can just do cost and price and revenue, maybe that's about enough for you. But eventually, going forward into the future, you have to understand each of these concepts. And I'm not saying go and do ICANN or ECCA or ECU or an accounting degree. No, it doesn't require it. I'm a lawyer and I'm in finance. So anybody can do it, I assure you. It's not complicated. Now, where I would ask you to focus is here. This part, very important. Revenue, expenses, profit or loss. How much do you make? How much do you make? And when I say how much do you make, it applies to both the commercial and social. So if you're running a luxury restoration project, if you donate, you ask for donations from people. So Lillian, some people give you 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, like that. You end up raising 1 million naira. That is your revenue. You have to put it under the revenue line. It's just a description will be donations. Contrast that with Emanuela, who would be selling her wood for furniture. Now, she will sell it at a price. She will sell a quantity. Price multiplied by the quantity gives her the revenue. So she made her revenue from selling the wood, the furniture. You, however, Lillian, you're making your revenue from donation, but it's still revenue. Please, let's be very clear on this because people won't explain it like this for us. Some of us work in the development space because they think NGO work is like free work, so therefore accounting principles don't apply. It's not true. It's the same thing you're doing. It's just a description of it. It's different. Now, contrast that to also a city who may be selling workshops. So I'm selling a service. You come to my workshop, 1 hour, you pay this. So if she does so many of it, she makes the revenue eventually. Or if you the employment, the company, you want me to bring you good staff, I will train them, I'll bring them your way, you give me a percentage of the salary you pay them. That's my fee for the work I've done for you. That's her income, her revenue, okay? So please, think about this for all of what you're going to be doing as you put together your financial plans, because this is very important. Your expenses are your costs. That's what we just said. Expenses is just another name for cost. So I'm not going to repeat that. Your revenue minus your cost is your profit or your loss. If it is positive, profit. If it's negative, loss. It's simple. I wish they taught us this in school. I don't know what our math teachers were doing when they were just teaching us permutation, combination. Teach me real life skills that I can apply in the future. Which is this? Now, this is your income statement. Probably the most important statement of the three. So if you understand this, you'll be fine. Now, the next I will tell you, which is very important, and you don't need to focus, as I said, on the numbers, just get the concept, that's all, is cash is everything. Cash is everything. How much money do you need to operate the business or the project? If you're going to run the forum, Sandra, what cost do you need to incur? How much money do you need to have in your bank account to fund this thing? Similarly, if you need to buy things to enable you run the session, like projector, like flipboard, like a camera to take pictures, those things are investments. You're investing, you're buying something that you are going to use to enable you deliver the forum that you're delivering. Same when Emanuela said she's using basic equipment now in her home, but she would like to buy bigger machinery. That's her investing bigger things to enable her do more on the operational side, okay? So you also have to think about how much money do I need to buy the camera, to buy the machinery, to buy the flipboard, to buy the projector is important. This is the number 2 here, this here, sorry, sorry, I have it, is a touch screen, this here. And the last one is what we call financing. So same thing. I think, Saidi, you mentioned you want a grant, a campus grant or something. I may have missed what you said. That's financing because he's collected money from somebody to enable him to do the business. The same way, Lillian, if you go and get contributions, that money you've gotten is what is coming into helping you finance the project, okay? Okay, good, okay. Yeah, and then lastly is on the balance sheet, which is, ignore the balance sheet. The most important thing is three things, okay? Assets, liability, equity. Asset is anything you own that can help you generate value. So the equipment, the camera, the peanut husk, the, what is in Sandra's head? So I didn't know Sandra, Esile's head, all the knowledge she has, her contacts, the goodwill, as they call it, all of that is an asset because that is what she's using to create value by helping people get jobs, okay? All those things are assets. The IT platform that Michael you'll be building for a Ving marketplace is an asset because that is where people are going to go to find the products that they're looking for. The liability is anything you have to pay for, okay? So that's like, Saidi having to pay the agent for the peanut, the plastic. If you borrow money, is a liability. To fund what you're doing, it's a liability. Any of those things are liability. So please keep a track of them, I beg. One of the greatest pains I have is when I see social entrepreneurs that don't keep a track of this and they end up in some kind of debt because they have not matched their assets to their liabilities. Please, 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 please. Don't go and bite on more than you can chew. Make sure your assets are greater than or at least equal to your liabilities. Very important. The rest of it is what we call equity, which is really what you put into the business. You, the owner. or what you put in the project. That's your equity, really. That's it. So the two must match, which is why you see these two combined are on one side and the asset is on the other side. So please, please, please make sure whatever assets you have can help you cover your liabilities and still leave you some money, which is what you have in this other bucket, so that you always have something that you can fall back on when the times become hard. So this is the only thing I would say to you here, nothing more. There's no, if I keep going on and on, this is like, it would, but these are the main things. In summary, your revenues, whatever you get for the service you're offering, whether you're generating donations, whatever, or you're selling the product, your expenses and your costs, your revenue less your cost is your profit or loss. If it is positive profit, negative loss, that's it. Please keep a track of the cash that you need to run the project or the business. Okay, whether you need to pay salaries, you need to pay taxes, you need to pay for logistics, whatever, all of those things that you need money-wise to do is where the cash is. Now, be smart about how you handle your expenses. If you don't have to have cash to incur those expenses, even better. So like Emanuela, her cost may be 5,000 naira to design a flyer. But because she can design the flyer herself, it will be zero in terms of cash because she doesn't need 5,000. She can do it herself. So this is the trick. As much as possible, whatever cost you have, try as much as possible to see how people can do it for you for little or no money. That's the game. Volunteers, friends and family, partners, giving it to you at next to nothing. So like what I said, instead of Sandra going to go and pay for a space to rent to do her forum, she can just do it in the church. It will be free. There's a cost, but she's not incurring the cost because she was smart about how she did it. So please, this is where it's very important for you to think about in terms of how you manage the project or the business. And then, as I said, always keep enough cash to invest in your project or business, like the future board, like the photo, the camera, and all of those good things. And the money you need to be able to finance whatever you are doing, crowdfunding, donations, stuff like that. So I'll move swiftly. We talked about this already. Yeah, pricing, we talked about this also. So I will skip this. This is another exercise, but I will leave it for you to do afterwards because of time. We talked about this also. Yeah, we talked about this. Now, these are my last few slides. At the end of the day, you were all on a path to be able to lead something that's revolutionary. When we started SOSF, it was so hard getting people to even care about what we were doing. People were like, what are these people doing? What are you talking about? This NYC, Nigerian Youth Service Corps member. For the Nigerians, they would know what I'm saying. And I think probably even the Ghanaians have something similar. I was working in my khaki, which is the uniform that we have. And people were just telling me to move along. But you need to build something that's sustainable. You're going to have people who are doing marketing, research, delivery, the thing, like Sandra said, the facilitators, right, to talk about sex ed. Like Lillian, she will need to have people who can train these elementary kids. Sayedi has a whole team of people that are building, developing, producing this wood. Same thing for Noella. Esile, today you're a one-man team, but I hope very soon you'll be a 2-3-man team. And when I say 2-3-man team, I don't mean somebody else running the sessions with you. You may continue to be the face because jobs with Esile, you are selling yourself, you're selling your brand. However, it would be nice to have an admin person that can take bookings, a media and communications person that can just update your social media platforms, that can be marketing, that can be designing on Canva, sending out emails, reaching out to your customers. So they take that burden off you and you focus on delivering the value, which is around you Esile. So all of these things, please think about that. Think about how you can divide the work amongst others. And I assure you, there are people looking for opportunities to give back. I learned this the hard way, but it was the most beautiful lesson. Because I like how Noella said she's a student, but all the people who work for her are not students. I think we should hear from her how she did that. You know, all of these things are what make us really run sustainable things, really lead what we're trying to do, because you crowd in others that can help you. You don't have all the skills. You don't know how to do accounting. Somebody else come and do it for you. You don't know how to do graphics. Somebody else come and do it for you. You don't know how to recruit new talent. Somebody's going to do it for you. And somebody somewhere wants just a bit of experience. And they're happy to come and intern. They're happy to volunteer. When I look at the 300 plus mentors we have in Skills Authors School Foundation, I could have never dreamed of paying these people. The experience is huge. People have 15 years, 20 years. I'm like, whoa. You know, but I send them messages on LinkedIn. They don't know me from anywhere. I just message them and they're like, wow, this is so interesting. I would love to do it. I used to do this in my church. I've been looking for a way to give back. I love mentoring. Oh, I've never mentored before. Do you think I can do it? Yes. And this is how we've been doing it. This is how we got volunteer trainers. We don't pay them. Maureen Chukwuemeka, I love her to bits. She's one of the women I respect the most in this world. She's our CEO now. She was a trainer before. And I just can't believe that she is leading Skills Outside School Foundation, because she has 15 plus, even nearly, 15 plus years of experience in development. I can't even dream of that. And I'm supposed to be board chair, she's CEO, but it's like the other way, because I'm learning from her every day. She's so insightful. Shola, she comes up with great ideas. I'm like, okay, I didn't think about that. But so somehow I'm supposed to be the boss. No. You know, what made her come and join SOSF? So for me, these things are very important. You leading, you have to get an army of people from all over, government, private sector, public, just willing to support you. A lot will say, no, who cares? You move on. There are, I don't know how many billions of people in the world. So you say, no problem. The help may not even come from Eastern Cape. It may not even come from Bida. It may not even come from Kisumu. It may be from halfway across the world. So please, if I'm going to leave you with anything here, it's just please this. Partnerships. Always think about this. How do you work with others? And then please stay true to your vision, because legitimacy is very important. A lot of people will not even look at you if they're not sure, because there's so much scam going on. I come from Nigeria. This is like, it's very sad to say this, but it's like the scam capital of the world. You know, so imagine anything you come up with. People are like, it's not those Nigerians again. This is the reaction that I get sometimes. It takes time to build that legitimacy, but please don't be tired. It's hard, I know, but you'll get there. Get the buy-in, be consistent, do the right thing, document, and be transparent. Put out your work. Let people question it. Let people challenge it. Let people criticize it. It's only going to make it better, because if you're honest about the problems you're trying to solve, you will see it as constructive and not destructive. And this is it. This is what I was saying. Telling a story is not all about the money. Yes, you shouldn't always look at partnerships for money. Look at partnerships for other things you can never pay for. Like I said, mentors, trainers, advisors, the board. These are people who have far more experience than me, and I'm sitting across the table from them. It's not about the money, because you can't buy it. You can't pay for half of these things, probably. That's okay. And that's why I said build your brand, network, because it's in those things that you meet people. It's the connections you have that help you leapfrog you into the future. I started Skills Outside School Foundation with 30,000 naira, 50,000 each from my dad and my mom. That's it. To put it into context, how much is that? At the time, I think dollar was maybe 200 to naira, so $150 call it. That's it. And I was an NYC core member. I used to get paid 15,000 naira from my organization, Bureau of Public Enterprises, and 19,800 from the government. That's it. It's below minimum wage. So we made it happen, because people from all over, you can never expect, just were like, yes, we will do this with you, Halima. You know, and 8 years later, we're where we are. Please do things the right way. Honestly, the integrity is important. Be professional, because this is one of the things that makes Africa not leapfrog. We like to cut corners, and it's wrong. Please, it's what I like what Sandra said. Let's follow the values. Most of us are believers. So let's do what the books say. See, and whether you're Christian, Muslim, Hindu, whatever, it's the same things. We can all agree on the same thing. I agree with all the commandments. I do. Jesus is mentioned more times in the Quran, even than the prophet. There's a whole chapter on Mary in the Quran. She's one of the most revered women in Islamic history. So we share a lot of this. So let's pick it doesn't matter. Goodness, good values come from anywhere. It's not it has to be my faith or it has to be my community, my culture. No. We're all learning from each other here. And we're from different backgrounds. And when I see successful countries around the world that have done it, it's because they've been consistent, they've done things the right way. So please, if there's only last thing I'm going to leave with you is this. Your network, put your money where your mouth is. People tell you, no, you can't do it. Do it. So many people have told me, I said, it doesn't make sense. How many grants have we applied to? My team are here. Even Shola, you tell us the personal experience for running Lead4Change. So many people we wrote to, we've closed our budget for the year. We don't have funding. We almost delayed Lead4Change, the same program. So we said, no, we're going to do it. We want to do it, we'll do it. And we approved it. We put our money into it and we're doing it. And I'm so glad we did it. It was one of the best decisions ever because we're here thanks to Shola's great work, Maureen's leadership, the whole team, Benny, everybody, data and research, everybody has been a part of this. We're here and we're doing it. And I've had the unique honor of meeting all of you. I'm just so glad. And it's the few of you who made it here that, because there are so many other people, like half of the class isn't here. But that's okay. The few who are here, I hope you learned something. And I hope it's opened your mind to other things also. And I look forward to also the next session that you will have. There will be a lot more insights. Please, as I said, I'll share the slides. Please do the exercises because it's really going to be good for you. It's going to be really beneficial. We live and we learn, we work together, but let us know that if we die today, we've lived a good life. We've lived a purposeful life. And we've left a legacy that will continue beyond us. For me, that's the most important. That's what I look forward to. That's it. Nothing else matters. So I will leave you with this fundraising. As I said, there are many ways to fundraise. Somebody talked about campus prize. I think it was 80. The government intervention funds, this crowdfunding, this from yourself, from favorable supplier terms to talk about these grants, business challenges, things like all these whatever, they're all there. They are hard to get into, yes, but we're also here to support you with those things because part of the extra work we'll be doing with you in advanced Lead4Change. This is very short, this is very accelerated, but there's a lot more you will learn if you go through advanced Lead4Change, really taking the next 3 to 4 months, deepening the work, really creating these sustainable enterprises and projects, social change projects that we're mentioning, so that you can really stand the test of time with your solutions and be able to learn the skill to also be able to access some of these things. And a lot of them, as I said to you, will say no. SOSF is not grant funded. Honestly, I've almost got to the point that I'm tired of writing grants. But it's okay. We keep moving on 8 years later. And I hope to say, God willing, in another few years, we'll still be here. And if we're not, then it is because we've met our objectives. And there's no need for us anymore. So we stop. But Africa must rise. We must push. This is the ticking time bomb that's, no, we have to do something about it. We cannot see this good life everywhere else. And then we don't want that for ourselves. It's wrong. So anyway, we can do that. Please, the fundraising avenues are plenty, and we're here for you for all of those things. Please connect. Like I said, Innocent and Michael are here with us many years later. Michael is also one of our ambassadors. And we want that to be the story with all of you as well. Invest your own money. I put some thoughts here and ideas. Save, invest. You can save with as little as 5,000 naira in Nigeria. Most people don't know this, but I'm telling you. And I think it's the same in other places on the continent. Don't be afraid to just put small amounts of money away. You'll be surprised how far it will go. My investing started very small, and now it's like a decent war chest. So start small. These are things I had on being financing ready, but I think it's not necessary. Okay, resource mapping. This was also another activity. I'll leave you with it. Set your own goals. Set your goals. Be smart about it. Smart is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. Just what it is. Is as the name says. Please make sure that it's goals that you set for yourself that are very clear, that you can measure, that are attainable. Don't set two things that are too high. I want to eradicate poverty. Please. Oxfam has been doing that for I don't know how long. They have eradicated poverty. Please create a big vision, but put sub goals so that it's things that you can celebrate along the way. So you are happy with your work and what you're doing, and that it's relevant to you and also to society, and that there's a time. Because if you don't set a time to be there, you'll be like my sister who's been wanting to go to flying school for the last 20 years or whatever. So please make it time bound. And this was the last exercise I had for you. So I will, sorry, I had to speed through it, but I realized that 3.5 hours is not enough for the session. So maybe I ill-timed it. Sorry, Shona. But we're always here for you. And as I said, the advanced Lead4Change is that opportunity for us to continue to interact with you and do more. But even if this is going to be the end for you at the end of basic, it's been a great ride. And please also still stay in touch. We really want to hear about your ideas and what you're doing and how you've been implementing, what kind of support you need. Post it on the group. Let's talk to each other. Let's share. Because one person's progress is going to be another person's real enabler and leapfrog. So I will just stop there. 10 minutes to 1. I don't want to go over time before Shola, comes in to stop me. And if there are any questions at this point, I mean, I did say that please do ask as we go along. But if there are any things you wanted to hold on to, now please, this is the time. Stop sharing. And, yeah.
One again now. Mano jogo.
Go ahead. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So I'll stop there. Thank you so much for being a fantastic class and for listening. It's been a real pleasure. Yeah, I'll stop.
Thank you very, very much. I think everybody would agree with me that this was very engaging, interesting, interactive, practical, so on and so forth. I've been seeing the very wonderful comments in the comment section, very beautiful, enriching. Wow, this, that, wow. Thank you very, very much for a very wonderful facilitation. I learned a lot personally, from marketing to finance to pitching. Wow, like very, very interesting. Please, if we have questions, I'm sure there should be questions. Please, can you just raise your hand or maybe put it in the chat box? If we have questions, please. Let me check the chat box. Please, if you have questions, could you just raise your hand or you can put it in the chat box so we can take that quickly. Does anybody have questions? I'll say, like, even during the session, I know there were a lot of interactive sessions. I know some questions were answered during the session, but if we still have like additional questions, please, you can ask now, maybe in the chat box, or you can just raise your hand and I'll ask you to unmute. I'm waiting just in case we have questions. Okay, so no problem. I'm sure like during the course of the project of Lead4Change, even if you have questions at any point, Halima, Ibrahim is very, very available to answer your questions. She'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So you can either ask on the group chat, you can reach out to me personally to get, or you can get to her yourself. Anyway, like your questions will definitely be answered. I think we are meant to do assessments. So I think the assessment is on you're meant to, I'll still put it on the group chat for like better explanation, and if you need clarification for anything, definitely you can always reach out to me and I'll explain. So the assessment is to design sorry, just a minute. Okay, yes, you're meant to develop a beneficiary engagement plan for the solution. So I think like we did earlier, I think we've even done like a preliminary work on that at the beginning, the beneficiary plan. So you just define it more. So you make a beneficiary plan on the solution you've already provided on the social change project you want to do, basically, and a strategy for sustaining it during and after implementation. So you are more or less bringing up like a sustainability plan. How can it be sustained during the implementation of the solution? How can it be sustained even after? What are the steps that you will take to sustain it and all of that? And you're also meant to submit a budget for the implementation plan. So I'll also like put this more defined in the group chat so that everybody can see that. It's meant to be an individual, because I know some people had like issues. Is it an individual task? Is it a group task? It's meant to be an individual task for the solution you want to implement as your social change project. So it is an individual task. But definitely I'll put it on the group chat if you need any clarifications, or people already make clarification of the formal assessment. So you can always reach out to me and I will definitely answer your questions. Now I'll put the deadline for the submission on the group chat as well, so that everybody is carried along. Thank you very much for this participation. I
think somebody had a question, Jeremiah, so maybe you want to answer that too. I do want to, yeah. So he said, how do you overcome the fear of approaching the big names in terms of partnership and pitching opportunities? So, which is a very important question, actually. So let me answer it quickly, if that's okay, Shola. Yes, and then I put the exercise as well, but just to give more color to what Shola said, you know, it's a combination of everything we talked about. So please, the beneficiary engagement plan is really how you aim to engage your beneficiaries or your clients. How do you market to them? How do you work with them, essentially? So it's on that marketing side. The budget is for you to just come up with the cost and how you can make revenue, right? That's it. And we can send you templates just to make it easier, Shola, if that's okay. I think we can send them templates. And then strategy for sustaining it, your solution during and after implementation, again, is all these ideas we talked about, how you price, how you engage, how you partner, all these things. How do you bring all of that in your own context to come up with specific strategies that you can use? And then the implementation plan is the final thing. It's very important that you have steps. You remember what I said, setting goals, setting steps to you implementing your solutions. Very, very critical, so that you don't miss things and that there's an institutionalization of what you're doing. That way, anybody who joins you can pick up and just do it, because they know exactly what needs to be done at any given point in time. And it's not in your head, but it's written down somewhere. So again, we'll share with you, if it's okay, Shola, templates to just guide you so that you can do it in the most concrete fashion. And I assure you, I will review them, each of them individually myself, and give you concrete comments. You can ask the team that's on this call. I'm like the worst person when it comes to giving comments. It can be a bit too much even sometimes. So please, I'll make sure it's as comprehensive as possible. Now, on the question that was asked, quickly, if I can just answer it before the 3 minutes elapses. It's tough, but you see, how I see it, the worst they can tell you, Jeremiah, is no. Just no. We can't do it. Come back later. Not the right thing for us. We don't have the money. Okay. This is the worst thing. And always look for a way to come back again, because organizations have different reasons for doing what they do. Sometimes it takes a relationship. It takes somebody trusting you to unlock it for you. So maybe they're not sure about you. That's why they're saying it. Sometimes genuinely, they've already approved the budget. They don't have space for you. Or sometimes they're testing you and your resilience. Are you going to come back again? Or sometimes they're saying there's not enough in it for us. You need to try harder to prove to us why we should care to answer you. So there are very many reasons why the big names will tell you no. So always listen to the reason why they are saying no. Even if they don't tell you, probe it. Try to understand it. Be focused, be determined. When I say never take no for an answer, I mean not necessarily that you should force the partnership, but walk away with a plan that, okay, maybe because of so and so reason why they said no, this is not the time for the partnership. If I come back in 2 years' time, if I attain this goal, if I become I hit the 50,000 beneficiary mark, I make 1 million naira in revenues, maybe that's the time to come and join them. You have to create that opening. So even if they say no, you know when you come back and you say yes. So don't focus on the fear. See it as the worst thing they will say is no, which is not a big deal. You move on. Not a big deal. And even if they say no, why did they say no? Please try to understand and diagnose it before you walk away. And put yourself in their shoes, because there are many reasons why they would say no to you, like I said. And it may not be a bad thing, it may not even be about you. So this is what I would say. And this is what has helped us do what we're doing. We tried to partner with UNICEF for years. Guess what happened? We're talking to UNICEF, life skills, life skills, life skills. It was like falling on deaf ears. We couldn't even get past the door. We knew nobody there. But guess what happened? Years later, during COVID, suddenly UNICEF decided life skills was the new thing, and they wanted to put it in every curriculum, in every school in Nigeria. And they started to look around. Who are the people who provide life skills? We're not on their register. We're not on their database. In fact, we gave up. But then what happened? My sister, who happens to be on the board, got a job with the UN. And she contacted a friend who was in the UN system also at around the same time, but exactly in UNICEF, but he was a communication specialist. So she speaks to him and she says, hey, this is what's happening. As you know, just chat. And then months later, he comes back to her and he says, hang on, one of my colleagues, the education officer in UNICEF, she's coming up with a list of organizations that do life skills. If I remember that meeting you and I had, you said this is what you guys do. She was like, oh my God, very excited. She calls me, I call Maureen, and we just go for the meeting. And they say, oh, we need organizations that can intervene in this state, this state, this state. And we're looking at them like, we don't have presence in those states. But Maureen and I went to the site, and Maureen was like, you know what, let's just do this. So we do it, we go and implement, and that's the first time we implemented in Kano. We implemented in Abuja, but we got a chance to meet people from all over. We trained teachers, we worked on manuals, and now we're in the radar of UNICEF. But it took 6 years to get there. In a chance encounter, we never thought it could ever happen. It was so random. So this is the power of network and of patience and resilience. They may say no to you, but it's okay. Come back again if you must. Take the advice I should have taken, which is to keep knocking on their door. I shouldn't have left it to a chance encounter, because that may not be your story. Be focused, be determined, map out why they should partner with you and why you are the right organization to work with them. Make the best case you can. And if they say no, that's fine, walk away. But walk away knowing this is when I'll come back again. And work towards it and come and show them. Because it's the best feeling when you come back and you are like, oh, okay, when you told me no, Abby, I've come back. It's the best feeling, I assure you. So that's what I would say, Jeremiah. I hope that helped. So I'll stop, Shala, because it's not 2 minutes past. So probably no more.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to accept any meeting invites or whatever. Let's stay connected always. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Shola, for the great work.
Thank you so much. And I definitely caught that closing remark before cause be determined. Even if you get no for an answer, still try harder, keep trying and all of that. Wow, very, very, very insightful session, I would say. Very interesting. So the next session will be on Thursday, and we'll be dealing with building and sustaining partnership for solutions. I'm sure we won't want to miss it. You can see how interesting, insightful, and enriching this session was. I'm very sure we would not want to miss the last session, and I'm very sure definitely from this session we have gained knowledge to make informed decisions and gotten information that will help us even during our social change projects. On this note, I would like to thank every single person, for engaging, participating, even staying till this time. I would like to appreciate every single person, and especially appreciating Halima Ibrahim for that wonderful facilitation. Very wonderful, I would say. So we'll be meeting on Thursday. Information will definitely be passed on the group chat so that everybody can be carried along So for now, I would close and say thank you very much, and yeah, bye everyone. We can drop off now. Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye everyone. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.